My sister put 23 letters from our dead mother on the kitchen table and told me I'd been too busy to read them. They were packed inside a blue Christmas cookie tin, the one with 3 dented wise men on the lid. Mom had used it for sewing supplies because nobody in our family had baked Christmas cookies since 2009. "Go ahead," Leah said. "Now you've got time." I lifted the first envelope. My name was written in Mom's shaky block letters, along with my unit and overseas mailing address. There was no stamp, no postmark. The flap had never been sealed. The other 22 looked exactly the same. You didn't mail them. Leah leaned against the counter, arms folded. She had lost weight since the funeral. It made her eyes look too large and the rest of her face sharp enough to cut fruit. She kept writing, she said, every week, even when I told her you weren't answering. That was when I understood what my sister had done. It was also when I understood what she didn't know. She thought she had stopped every letter. She had missed one. I set the envelope back in the tin and aligned its edge with the others. My hands were steady. Leah watched them as if steadiness proved something ugly about me. "You're not even surprised," she said. "I'm deciding which question to ask first. There she is. Who? Staff Sergeant Ellison. Assess the threat, establish the perimeter, make a checklist." I looked around Mom's kitchen. Half the cabinet doors stood open. Red masking tape marked boxes on the floor. Donate, trash, Mara. Leah had written my name on the smallest one. I had been back in Ohio for 43 minutes. 7 weeks earlier, I had come home on funeral leave, slept 2 nights in my old room, put my dress uniform on for Mom, and returned to my unit before the flowers wilted. Leah had barely spoken to me then. I'd assumed grief had left her with nothing that could survive being said aloud. Now I knew she'd had plenty. "What do you want me to ask?" I said. Her mouth twitched. "I don't want anything from you. That would be new." She pushed away from the counter. The old refrigerator gave a wet rattle behind her, the same sound it had made since we were teenagers. Mom used to slap its side and say it just needed encouragement. Leah reached over and slapped it now. The rattle stopped. "See?" she said. "Some things respond when you're actually here." It was a good line. She had probably saved it. I unzipped my field jacket. The house was overheated, though late October rain tapped cold against the windows. Mom had always kept the thermostat at 68 and accused anyone who touched it of trying to bankrupt her. Now it read 76. "You can take your coat off," Leah said. "You're not boarding a plane. I know where I am. Do you?" I looked at the cookie tin again. The flight from Germany had been delayed. My connection through Baltimore had been worse. The man beside me on the final leg had spent an hour explaining why women shouldn't serve in combat, then asked me to lift his suitcase from the overhead bin because he'd recently had shoulder surgery. I'd done it. Arguing would have taken longer. Leah had refused to pick me up, so I'd paid a driver named Carl $84 to tell me about his divorce all the way from Columbus. He left me on the curb with my duffel and said, "Family's what matters," which felt less like wisdom than a threat. I'd expected Leah to be tired. I'd expected anger. I had not expected Mom's handwriting waiting beside a roll of packing tape. "How long?" I asked. "How long what? How long did you keep them?" She glanced toward the hall as if somebody might answer for her. The first one was in December, 3 weeks after I deployed, and Mom died in September. I know when she died, so 10 months. "Don't do that." "Do what? Turn it into logistics?" I almost laughed. Not because anything was funny, but because Leah had always objected to arithmetic when it made her choices visible. 10 months isn't logistics, I said. It's a long time to walk past a mailbox. She didn't need to be worrying about whether you'd answer. Did she ask you to decide that? She asked me to mail them. I decided not to. There was no apology in it, not even the smaller cowardice of pretending they'd been misplaced. For 1 second, I respected the clean admission. Then I hated myself for finding anything in her to respect. I pulled out a chair. Its legs scraped the linoleum in the exact rhythm that used to make Mom call from the living room. "Pick it up, don't drag it." No voice came. Leah's eyes went to the empty doorway too. She recovered first. "We have 12 days, she said. Landlord wants the place empty by the 31st. I've done most of it. I can see that. Can you? The labels on the boxes were written in 3 different colors. Red meant Leah had decided. Black meant someone else had confirmed. Blue meant she still couldn't make herself open the box. There were more blue boxes than red ones. On the counter sat Mom's chipped yellow mug with a tea bag dried to the bottom. Leah had packed the blender, the silverware, and every plate except one. She hadn't moved the mug. "I'll start upstairs," I said. Her eyebrows lifted. "You're not going to read them?" "I am." "When?" "When you're not standing over me. So you can invent the right reaction?" I put both palms on the table. "What reaction would satisfy you, Leah?" "I don't know. A human one. Be specific. You could cry." "I cried at the funeral. You stood in a bathroom for 7 minutes. You timed me?" "You came out with a dry face. That bothered you?" "Everything about that day bothered me." She paced to the sink, then back. Her bare feet made soft sticking sounds on the floor. Leah had once owned a hair salon where she wore 4-inch boots for 10 hours at a time and could make a woman confess to an affair before the conditioner was rinsed out. She had sold her half to her business partner when Mom got sick. At the funeral, 3 former clients had hugged Leah and told her she was an angel. Nobody ever calls a caregiver a soldier to her face, but the language gets close enough to sting. "I was here," she said. "Every day. Do you understand that?" Every single day was about whether she could breathe. "I understand." "No, you understand oxygen saturation and medication schedules. You don't understand sitting on the bathroom floor at 2 in the morning while your mother tells you she's scared to die." I thought of the Sunday behind the maintenance building, heat coming through the concrete wall, Mom stopping between 5 words and the next 6. I kept my face still. Leah mistook that for emptiness. "She asked for you," she said. "Even at the end. I know. No, you don't." I said, "I know." "She thought you weren't answering." There it was. Not the worst thing Leah had done, apparently, but the part she wanted me to carry first. I drew one envelope from the middle of the stack. July 14th was written in the upper right corner where a stamp should have been. The paper inside had been folded twice. Mom's handwriting sloped downhill as it crossed the page. I didn't open it. "Did you read these?" I asked. Leah looked insulted. "No, you told her I wasn't answering. How would you know what she asked me?" "She talked about them." "And you never read one?" "No, it was possible." Leah could invade every inch of a person's life while maintaining one ceremonial boundary and then build her whole idea of herself around it. She nodded toward the envelope in my hand. That one was after she had the bad week in July. "Which bad week?" "The one when she couldn't make it from the bedroom to the porch. You told me she was stable in July. She was stable compared to August. You wrote, 'Same old mom, still bossing me around.' She was. You sent me a picture of her eating peach cobbler. She ate 3 bites. I remembered the picture. Mom in her recliner, chin lifted, spoon held toward the camera like a toast. Her cheeks had looked thinner, but she'd worn lipstick. I had shown it to Sergeant Morales, who said, 'Your mom looks mean,' and I'd answered, 'Only when conscious.'" Leah had cropped the oxygen tubing out of the frame. I returned the July letter to the tin. "You asked me for the emergency contact number before I left," I said. I had it. "You were supposed to use it if her condition changed. I didn't need a stranger in uniform deciding whether my mother was sick enough to bother you. That isn't how it works. I don't care how it works. No, you cared enough to make up how it worked and get angry at that." She stared at me. That one landed. I wished it hadn't felt good. Leah picked up the masking tape and worried at its edge with her thumbnail. "You know what she said after you left?" she asked. "She said at least the Army would know where you were. Like that was comforting. Like I could be standing in the same room and still count as the missing daughter." Mom said careless things. "You gotta leave before they piled up." I deployed, Leah. I didn't take a cruise. You volunteered for that assignment. I volunteered for the Army 17 years ago. The Army filled in some details. She gave a small, ugly laugh. "There it is again. Nothing is ever your choice." The refrigerator began rattling. This time neither of us touched it. Rainwater crawled down the window above the sink. On the sill, Mom's ceramic cardinal faced the wrong direction, toward the wall. She used to turn it outward every morning because she believed cardinals were visitors from people who'd died. I had teased her about the logistics of heaven assigning dead relatives to decorative birds. At the funeral, that joke had come back and punished me. Leah set the tape down. "Your room's mostly untouched," she said. I put the clothes from her closet on the bed. Why my bed? Because mine is where I sleep. The sentence was simple, and worse for being true. Leah had moved in when Mom's disease stopped being manageable from across town. She'd slept on the sofa first, then in our old bedroom after Mom finally admitted the arrangement wasn't temporary. I'd visited when leave allowed. 4 days in March, 6 in November. A long weekend when Leah sold the salon. I replaced a loose bathroom rail, reorganized medication deliveries, and cooked enough soup to leave frozen meals behind. Then I went back to work, and Leah stayed. That fact did not make the tin less real. It did make it heavier. I closed the lid over the wise men. "I'm going upstairs." Leah stepped into the doorway before I could leave the kitchen. She wasn't tall. People remembered her as tall because she occupied space without asking permission. Now her shoulders curved forward inside one of Mom's old cardigans. "If you'd answered," she said, "what would you have done? The letters? If you knew she was getting worse, I would have called. And then? I would have requested leave if she needed me. She always needed you. That isn't the same thing. It is to the person who's dying." I picked up the tin. Leah didn't move. For a moment we were close enough that I could smell Mom's lavender detergent on the cardigan. Leah noticed me noticing and pulled it shut. "Let me by," I said. "You came home for 3 days when she died." 5. 2 were travel. The funeral was on the 2nd day. And then you went back. My unit was still deployed. Mom was still dead. I felt the old instinct to explain. Personnel shortages, redeployment timelines, the people covering my work, the signed orders in my bag. Each fact would sound like a polished excuse inside Mom's half-empty house. "You're right," I said. I went back. Leah blinked. She had prepared herself to fight an explanation, not receive the fact. I stepped around her. Halfway up the stairs, she called after me. She stopped writing at the end. I turned. Leah stood below, one hand gripping the newel post. "The last week," she said, softer now. She didn't ask me for paper. I wanted to tell her that wasn't the end. I wanted to tell her about the envelope that had crossed an ocean, the Sunday call, and the last thing Mom had asked me to give my sister. Instead, I carried the 23 letters upstairs. My old room smelled like dust and cold cream. Mom's dresses lay across the bed in careful stacks, their empty sleeves folded over one another. I sat on the floor with the cookie tin between my knees and opened the first envelope. "Dear Mara," Mom had written. "I hope the sand isn't getting into places a mother shouldn't ask about." I laughed before I could stop myself. Then I read the next line. "Leah says you asked us not to write, but I know my daughter, and that doesn't sound like you." Underneath that, in smaller writing, she had added, "If it does sound like you, please write back and tell me yourself. I can survive being told the truth. It's being managed that makes me crazy." I read the sentence twice. Mom had spent most of her life managing everyone within reach. Seating plans, grudges, blood pressure, the exact degree to which a grown woman needed a sweater. The possibility that someone else was managing her would have offended her more than the deception itself. The letter was dated December 6th, 22 days after I left. She wrote about weather, a dental appointment, and Leah buying the wrong brand of tissues. She asked whether Kuwait smelled different in winter. She said she'd found one of my old Army recruiting brochures behind the phone cabinet and accused me of hiding it there in 2005, so she couldn't throw it away. I had hidden it inside a copy of Better Homes and Gardens. Mom had apparently found it 18 years later and still gotten the location wrong. Near the end, she wrote, "I don't need a long answer. Tell me one true thing about where you are, and I'll tell you one true thing about here." The page stopped there. No mention of her lungs. No request for help. Just an invitation to be honest while both of us were already failing at it. I took out my phone and photographed each page. The habit was automatic. I documented serial numbers, damage, missing equipment, anything people might later remember differently. The camera shutter made a soft, artificial click. "What are you doing?" Leah stood in the doorway. "Taking pictures." "Why?" "Because they're mine. They're right there for now." Her gaze sharpened. "You think I'm going to steal them? I didn't think you'd steal them the first time." The room went silent except for rain ticking against the air conditioner Mom had never removed from the window. Cold air leaked around its plastic cover. Leah walked to the bed and lifted a navy dress by the shoulders. Mom had worn it to my promotion ceremony at Fort Campbell and complained for a month that everybody's shoes looked more comfortable than hers. "This one's yours," Leah said. "I don't want it. She wore it for you. She wore it to an event I invited her to." "That doesn't make it mine." "Well, I don't want it. Then donate it." Leah held it against herself. The hem fell too low on her and the shoulders sagged. "Easy for you," she said. "What is? Giving her clothes to strangers." I said, "One dress. Hun, you always mean more than you say. And you mean exactly what you say?" She tossed the dress onto my pillow. "At least I say it." I looked at the tin. "Eventually." Her face closed. I regretted the word as soon as it left my mouth, not because it was unfair, but because it was efficient. In the Army, an efficient correction could keep someone from repeating a dangerous mistake. In a family, efficiency mostly made sure the knife reached the correct organ. Leah began stacking blouses into a box marked Mara. "Stop doing that. You said you'd help." "I am helping. I'm telling you, I don't want Mom's entire closet transferred to my apartment." "You have an apartment?" "I signed a lease last month." "Where?" "Dayton." She paused with a flowered blouse in her hands. "You're staying in Ohio." "For now. You didn't tell me. We've barely spoken. You could have mentioned it at the funeral." "Between which conversation? The one where you asked whether my uniform needed dry cleaning, or the one where you said the ham was getting warm? You went around me. You told Owen." "I asked Owen which neighborhoods weren't terrible. Same thing." "It wasn't, but arguing about it would give her a safer fight." I placed Mom's first letter on the floor to my right and took out the second. December 14th. Same careful address, no stamp. Leah watched. "Aren't you going to leave?" I asked. "It's my room. It was our room. I'm the one who slept here for 2 years. Then your room has a stranger reading private mail in it. That sounds uncomfortable." For one dangerous second, she almost smiled. Leah had always appreciated a clean hit, even when she was the target. Then the expression vanished. "I have to get groceries," she said. "There's nothing here." There never was. Mom had dietary restrictions. Mom believed paprika was spicy before she got sick. She liked my chicken. She loved you. Leah's fingers tightened around the blouse. I hadn't intended the sentence as a weapon. That seemed to make it worse. "She asked for you," Leah said again. Then she walked out. The stairs creaked beneath her. A cabinet slammed, keys rattled, the front door shut hard enough to make the dresses tremble on their hangers. I waited until her car backed out before unfolding the second letter. Mom's handwriting was steadier. She told me Leah had put up Christmas decorations on December 8th, a date previously associated with reasonable people. She described the wreath as looking like a craft store lost a fight. She said the oxygen machine made the lights flicker when the furnace turned on, so Leah had unplugged the reindeer in the yard and offended 2 neighbors. There was affection in every complaint. Mom said Leah had closed the salon for 3 afternoons that week. She wrote, "I told her not to, but your sister hears instructions the way a cat hears its name." I pictured Leah washing Mom's hair in the kitchen sink, a towel tucked around her neck. I had seen them do it during my visit the month before deployment. Mom had grumbled that Leah was pulling, and Leah had said, "It's attached to your head, Evelyn. That's the basic challenge." I'd taken a picture. In it, Mom's eyes were closed and Leah's face was unguarded. I found the photo on my phone. My thumb hovered over it before I locked the screen. The third letter was dated December 23rd. Mom said Leah had mailed a box to me with socks, cashews, and enough lip balm to survive whatever they do to lips in the desert. I had received that box in January. The customs form was in Leah's handwriting. She had stood at a post office counter with Mom's letter somewhere in the house and mailed me 12 pairs of socks. The specificity made me nauseated. I went downstairs for water. Leah's labels covered the dining room. 2 boxes of dishes were marked donate. A plastic tote labeled papers sat beneath the table. Its lid bowed under old tax returns and appliance manuals. Mom had kept the warranty for a toaster she threw away in 1997. On top of the tote lay a yellow legal pad. Leah had made a daily schedule for clearing the house. Kitchen Monday. Bedrooms Tuesday, linen closet Wednesday. My arrival was written at 4 that afternoon, followed by a question mark. I checked the microwave clock. 4:38. At 5 o'clock, she had written, "Dinner?" I turned the legal pad face down. The refrigerator held mustard, half a jar of applesauce, 3 eggs, and 6 sealed cups of chocolate pudding. Mom had eaten pudding when nothing else worked. I picked up 1 cup and checked the date. It had expired 2 weeks after she died. I put it back. Someone knocked on the front door, 3 quick taps followed by 1 heavy one. Owen had knocked like that since college, when he claimed it distinguished him from law enforcement and religious recruiters. He came in carrying a foil-covered casserole and a paper bag darkened with grease. At 42, our cousin still dressed like he might be called to repair a motorcycle without warning. Boots, flannel, gray t-shirt, permanent black crescent beneath 1 thumbnail. He looked at me for a second, set the food down, and hugged me hard enough to find the sore place in my shoulder. "You're skinny," he said. "You're observant. You look mean. You said that at the funeral. You still look mean. That's continuity." He released me and glanced around. "Where's Leah?" "Getting groceries." He looked at the paper bag. "Then I have made a tactical error." "What's in it?" "Fried chicken. She said she was buying groceries, not cooking. Then I'm a genius." He started opening cabinets without asking, which was the closest thing our family had to intimacy. He found 2 plates and held them up. "You eat? On special occasions? Is this one?" "I haven't decided." His eyes settled on the blue tin sitting at the bottom of the stairs. He stopped smiling. I watched him recognize it. "You've seen that before," I said. Owen lowered the plates. "I saw it in Mom's room once." "When?" "Summer. July, maybe." "What did Leah tell you?" He rubbed the back of his neck. "That they were letters your mom wrote when she was upset." "My mom?" He winced at the pronoun. He'd called her Aunt Evelyn for 40 years, but grief made people careless with ownership. She said sending them would mess with your head while you were deployed. "And what did you say?" I told her that sounded like a decision you should make. "Then what?" "She told me to mind my business." "Did you?" "I'm an Ellison by blood and a coward by experience." I pulled out a chair. Owen didn't sit. "Did you think I knew about them?" "No. Did you think I asked not to hear from Mom?" His hesitation answered before he did. "Leah said you needed space." "What kind of space?" "I don't remember." "That means you remember the exact phrase and don't want to say it." He looked toward the front window. "She said you needed a clean, emotional perimeter." I felt something inside me go completely quiet. Those were my words, but not about Mom. 3 nights before I deployed, Leah had called while I was checking gear. Mom had fallen in the kitchen but refused urgent care. Leah talked for 6 minutes without telling me whether Mom was injured, then accused me of sounding distracted. I told her I needed clear information, not panic. When she kept circling, I'd said, "I need a clean emotional perimeter around the facts, Leah. Is Mom hurt or not?" Mom had been bruised, embarrassed, and fine. Leah had taken that sentence, stripped out the facts, and handed the empty shell to everyone. "I should have called you," Owen said. "Yes. I thought you were getting updates. You were getting more than I was. I'm sorry." I opened the paper bag. Steam and pepper rose from the chicken. "You brought thighs?" 4. Then your apology has supporting evidence. He sat across from me. We ate off mismatched plates, pulling meat from the bones with our fingers. For a few minutes, neither of us said Mom's name. It was the first kindness anyone had shown me all day. Halfway through a drumstick, Owen nodded toward the stairs. Are they bad? I've read 3. And? They sound like Mom. That's bad then. I smiled despite myself. His phone buzzed. He checked it and turned the screen face down. Leah? I asked. June. My hand stopped. What does she want? She asked whether you made it home. Tell her yes. Owen typed, then frowned as another message arrived. What? He slid the phone across the table. June had written, "Don't leave Mara alone with those letters." Evelyn knew something was wrong before either of those girls was ready to admit it. Give me your phone. Owen pulled it closer to his chest. You're not deleting anything. I'm not going to delete it. You have the face. What face? The one people get right before you improve a situation without permission. I want to answer her. Use your own phone. Then she'll call me. She has your number, Mara. She calls you first because she knows I won't lie to you. That's not comforting. He passed me the phone. I typed, "She's not alone. I'm here." We're eating, then handed it back. Owen read the message. That sounds like I'm holding you hostage with chicken. You are. Send it. Why would June think you shouldn't read the letters alone? Because she knew Mom. She knows something. Everybody knows something. That's how families work. They break one truth into small enough pieces that nobody feels responsible for the whole thing. Is that from the Army? That's from Thanksgiving. He sent the message. The front door opened before June could respond. Leah came in backward, dragging 2 cloth grocery bags over the threshold. A bundle of celery stuck out of one like an accusation. She turned, saw Owen, and stopped. I brought food, he said. I see that. You said there wasn't any. I went to buy some, and now there's more. Owen's approach to conflict was to behave as if everyone involved had misunderstood the existence of simple addition. Leah set the bags on the counter. She had bought vegetables, yogurt, coffee, and the exact cinnamon raisin bread Mom ate every morning until swallowing became difficult. She took the bread out, stared at it, then shoved it into a cabinet. Did you tell him? She asked me. He'd seen the tin. Her head snapped toward Owen. Once, he said, in July. You were going through Mom's room? I was fixing the window latch, and you couldn't mind your own business while doing it? I did mind my business. That's what I'm regretting. Leah began putting away groceries. Every movement had extra force. Apples struck the fruit bowl. Yogurt cups slapped the refrigerator shelf. You don't get to regret my decisions, she said. Fine, I regret mine. Which was what? Believing you. She closed the refrigerator. The rattle started again. Nobody moved to stop it. Leah looked from Owen to me. So this is what we're doing? She's home for an hour and we're forming committees? Nobody formed anything, I said. June's texting him. Owen's face betrayed him. Leah had been reading people professionally for 19 years. He might as well have held up a sign. What did June say? That Mara made it home, he said. That's what you said, roughly. Owen. He sighed and showed her the screen. Leah read the message. The color rose from her throat to her cheeks. That woman needs to stay out of this. She took care of Mom too, Owen said. She visited. That is not the same as taking care of someone. I didn't say it was. You implied it. I definitely didn't. Leah turned to me. Did you ask June to come over? No. Did you call her before you came here? No. That answer was true in the narrowest possible way. I hadn't spoken to June since the funeral, when she'd hugged me beside the church restroom and whispered, "Not here." We both knew what she meant. Leah grabbed the legal pad from the counter and turned it face up. We have 12 days, she said. I'm not spending them in some family tribunal because June Calder likes inserting herself into other people's tragedies. She mailed sympathy cards for 3 months after her husband died, Owen said. I think tragedy inserts itself into June. That doesn't even make sense. It made some. I took our plates to the sink. Why did you mail the care package? I asked. Leah didn't answer. I scraped bones into the trash. Socks, cashews, lip balm. December 23rd. So? You went to the post office. Mom had already written 3 letters by then. I mailed things you could use. She wrote things I could use. You don't know that. You said you didn't read them. I didn't. Then you couldn't know. She gripped the legal pad with both hands. A blue vein showed at her temple. She would write after bad nights, she said, when she was scared or angry. By morning, she'd forget half of it. Did she ask for the letters back? No. Did she tell you not to mail them? She trusted me to decide. No, she trusted you to buy stamps. Owen stood. I should go. You should, Leah said. He pulled on his jacket. At the door, he looked at me. I can come back tomorrow. I'll be fine. Leah laughed without humor. She spent 11 months in Kuwait. I think she can survive a ranch house in Kettering. Owen opened his mouth. I shook my head once. He left. Leah picked up the foil-covered casserole he had brought and put it in the refrigerator without looking beneath the foil. What is it? I asked. Probably noodles. You hate mystery? I hate when people bring food because someone died. You end up with 6 lasagnas and no idea who owns the pans. That's very close to gratitude. I sent thank you cards. Of course you did. She dropped the legal pad. You don't get to walk in here and judge how I handled this. I'm judging one part. You've been home less than a day. The mail service has been operating the whole time. She stared at me, breathing through her nose. I waited. People usually fill silence if you let it become uncomfortable enough. In briefings, that got me information. With Leah, it had always gotten me punished. You were already distracted, she said. Every time Mom saw something about the Middle East on television, she couldn't sleep. Every time you went 3 days without answering a text, she thought you were dead. My text to her showed as unread. She couldn't use that phone. I know. That's why I called you. And I put you on speaker when she was awake. Not every time. She slept 18 hours a day near the end. December wasn't near the end. You're reading dates. I lived it. The refrigerator rattled harder, then went quiet by itself. Leah rubbed her forehead. The anger seemed to drain out of her all at once, leaving her older. I'm taking a shower, she said. Don't move the blue boxes. Why? Because I said so. She climbed the stairs. I listened to the bathroom door shut and the pipes knock in the wall. Mom used to complain about those pipes as if the house had installed them maliciously. I opened the cabinet and took out the cinnamon raisin bread. The expiration date was 4 days away. Leah had bought the small loaf because Mom always complained the large one went stale. I put it back where she had shoved it. Upstairs, water ran for nearly an hour. I carried the tin into the living room and sat in Mom's recliner. The cushion had molded itself around a body lighter than mine. Beside it, pale rectangles marked the carpet where the oxygen concentrator and backup tank had stood. The 4th letter was dated December 30th. Mom wrote that New Year's Eve had become an amateur holiday, and she planned to be asleep by 10. She asked whether I remembered the year Leah tried to make champagne in the basement, using grape juice and bread yeast. Leah had been 21, home from cosmetology school, and confident that fermentation was just fruit-making choices. 3 bottles exploded behind the furnace. Mom found purple glass in the laundry for years. In the letter, she called it one of the happiest nights of her life. That was Mom. Disaster improved with distance. Sometimes it became love before anyone involved had agreed to forgive it. At the bottom, she wrote, I waited by the phone Sunday. Leah says your schedule changed. I hope that's all it was. My schedule had not changed. I had called Leah at 2:03 Ohio time. She answered from a drugstore and told me Mom was asleep after a rough night. I asked her to wake Mom if she could. Leah said, She doesn't need you checking whether she's still alive. I had let the sentence make me angry enough to hang up. I photographed the letter and set it aside. January 8th began with an apology. I'm sorry if I sounded needy in the last one. Your sister says service members can't carry everybody's feelings while they're working. I suppose that's true. I still don't know when you started thinking of me as everybody. I stopped reading. The house creaked around me. Somewhere upstairs, the shower had ended. A drawer opened and closed. Leah's footsteps crossed the bedroom we used to share. I wanted to go up there and ask whether she remembered telling Mom that. I wanted to put the letter in her hands and watch her understand that her words had lived longer than the moment she used them. Instead, I read the paragraph again. A floorboard sounded behind me. Leah stood in the living room doorway wearing flannel pants and one of Mom's old Ohio State sweatshirts. Her wet hair darkened the shoulders. Without makeup, she looked startlingly like she had at 19, before she learned how to make every expression seem intentional. "That chair hurts your back," she said. "I'm noticing." Mom stopped using it the last month. Where did she sit? The hospital bed. I looked toward the empty rectangle beside the window where the bed had been. Leah followed my eyes. "They took it the morning after the funeral," she said. "I came out and there were 2 men wrapping the mattress in plastic. One of them asked me to sign a screen with my finger." She pressed her thumb against the side of her index finger, remembering. I couldn't make the signature work. He kept wiping it and giving it back to me. I didn't say anything. She crossed the room, picked up the January letter, and looked at Mom's writing. For a second, I thought she might read it. Instead, she set it face down. "You'll ruin yourself trying to figure out what every sentence meant," she said. "You already decided what they meant. I knew what kind of day she'd had. You knew what kind of day you'd had." Her mouth tightened. The doorbell rang. Leah glanced at the clock. It was after 8. "That'll be June," I said. "I told Owen not to send her. You told Owen to leave." "That isn't the same thing." Leah opened the door with the chain still fastened. June Calder stood on the porch in a green raincoat, silver hair flattened on one side by the weather. She held a grocery store pie in both hands. "I brought something nobody has to return in a pan," she said. Leah didn't remove the chain. June looked past her and met my eyes. "You started reading," she said. "It wasn't a question." "I started. Then I'm coming in." "No, you're not," Leah said. June's gaze moved back to my sister. "Evelyn asked me to mail 1 letter because she was afraid the others weren't leaving this house." Leah went perfectly still. June shifted the pie to one hand. "And before either of you asks," she said, "yes." That one reached Mara. Leah closed the door in June's face. The chain snapped tight before the latch caught, leaving an inch of wet night visible between the door and frame. June knocked again. "Open it," I said. "No, she's 71 and carrying a pie in the rain. She likes people to know when she's carrying things." From the porch, June called. "I can hear both of you. This door is decorative." Leah pressed her forehead against the wood. "Did you know?" she asked me. "Yes." "For how long?" "Move away from the door." "How long, Mara?" June knocked with the pie, producing a soft cardboard thump. I crossed the room and reached for the chain. Leah caught my wrist. Her hand was cold from her wet hair. "Don't," she said. "Let go." Her fingers tightened. I looked at them, then at her. Training gives people strange expectations about what you'll do in ordinary rooms. Leah expected me to break her grip, maybe twist her arm, demonstrate that 17 years had made me physically untouchable. Instead, I waited. After a few seconds, she realized she was the only one using force. She released me. I opened the door. June came in dripping, handed me the pie, and took off her raincoat as if Leah had invited her. She wore a burgundy pantsuit and white sneakers with orthopedic soles. Mom used to say June dressed like a church secretary escaping a flood. "I brought cherry," she said. "Mom hated cherry pie," Leah said. "I know. I'm not feeding Evelyn." June hung her coat on the hook where Mom's tan jacket still waited. Leah removed June's coat and laid it over a dining chair instead. "You could have called," Leah said. "I did." "You didn't answer. You called Owen." "He answers." June went into the living room and saw the opened letters beside the recliner. Her face changed. Not much. A tightening around the mouth, a longer breath through her nose. She touched the top envelope with 2 fingers but didn't pick it up. "How many?" she asked. 23, I said. 24, Leah corrected. "Apparently." June looked at her. "Apparently, you helped her hide one. I helped her send one. You went behind my back. I went to the post office. You knew I was handling her mail. That sentence should sound worse to you than it does." Leah crossed her arms, Mom's sweatshirt bunched beneath them, the red O splitting down the middle. "She was confused," Leah said. "No, she wasn't. She was on medication. She knew who Mara was. She knew where Mara was. She knew what a stamp did. You didn't live here." "No. I came Tuesdays and Thursdays so you could shower, grocery shop, or sit in your car and scream at the dashboard. I knew exactly what I was and wasn't doing." Leah flinched. June had always possessed the unnerving ability to make kindness sound like cross-examination. She'd worked respiratory care for 38 years. Mom said she could tell a frightened person the worst news of their life while straightening their blanket, and somehow both actions felt equally necessary. "When did she give it to you?" Leah asked. "August 22nd, 5 days before the Sunday call." Leah looked at me. "You got a letter in August?" "Yes." "You never said anything." I answered it. "How?" I held her gaze. Her face lost what little color it had. "You talked to her. It was not a question." June lowered herself onto the sofa. "Sit down, Leah. Don't tell me to sit down in my house. It isn't your house. I lived here. So did Evelyn. Stop saying her name like you knew her better than I did. I knew her differently. That's the problem with knowing people. Nobody gets the whole person." Leah turned back to me. "When did you call? You heard June. August 27th? I didn't answer. "That Sunday I went to the pharmacy?" My silence confirmed it. Leah put a hand over her mouth. Her eyes moved rapidly, assembling old details into a new shape. Mom had probably seemed tired or relieved when Leah returned. Maybe June's phone had been in a different place. Maybe a water glass had moved. Caregivers notice disturbances the way sentries do. "How long?" she asked. 38 minutes. The exact number hurt her more than an estimate would have. I knew it when I said it. I said it anyway. 38. Close to that. "You just said, Leah," June interrupted. "No. You don't get to interrupt now." She pointed at me. "What did Mom say? That's between us. She was my mother. She was mine, too. So you admit that when it helps you." June stood. "This is why Evelyn didn't want either of you speaking for her. Then why did she send Mara a letter through you? Because she wanted to speak for herself." Leah's jaw worked. "Did she say I was hiding them?" "No," June said. "She said messages weren't getting where they were supposed to go." I looked at her. June had repeated Mom's phrasing exactly. I could hear the original line in my head. "I think messages are getting lost between my chair and your hands." "Did you tell her?" Leah asked me. "Did you tell her I kept them?" I didn't know. You knew something. I knew I hadn't received what she thought she'd sent. And you let her think, what? That I was stealing her mail? I asked questions. What questions? Why she thought I didn't want to hear from her. Why my calls weren't matching what she remembered. Why she'd asked June to mail something. Leah sat on the edge of the coffee table. Her knees seemed to give up before the rest of her. She was having memory problems. "Not about that," June said. "You weren't here at night." "No." She'd wake up and think Dad was still alive. Grief and hypoxia are not the same as being incapable of recognizing a lie. Leah stared at the carpet. Our father had been dead 11 years, a fast heart attack in the parking lot of a hardware store, no prolonged illness, no chance for any of us to prove what kind of daughters we were. Mom had complained bitterly about his timing. I put the pie on the side table. The cardboard bottom had softened from rain. "Why didn't you confront her?" Leah asked me. "Mom?" "Me. I was deployed. You had a phone." "So did Mom." Leah absorbed that one. June looked at me with warning in her face. She knew I could say more. She also knew I was choosing each fact for maximum damage. She took the pie from the side table and carried it into the kitchen. "Get plates," she called. Nobody moved. June came back. "Evelyn did not send me here to watch you two reenact the problem." "She sent you?" Leah asked. "Not from beyond the grave. I came because Owen has the emotional discretion of a porch light." That got a sound out of Leah, halfway between a laugh and a sob. She wiped her nose with the cuff of Mom's sweatshirt. June touched her shoulder. Leah pulled away. "Don't," she said. "All right." Not, "I'm sorry," not "calm down." June simply removed her hand. It was more respect than Leah knew what to do with. "I didn't keep them to hurt her," she said. She was looking at June, not me. "Who did you keep them to hurt?" I asked. Her eyes snapped up. "I was trying to keep her calm. By telling her I didn't want her letters, she was obsessed with whether you'd answer, because you gave her a reason to be. She was obsessed with you before I did anything." The room changed. Leah heard it too. The admission hiding inside the sentence. "Before I did anything." June closed her eyes briefly. I sat in the recliner. "What did you do first?" Leah stood so quickly the coffee table rocked. "I'm not doing this with an audience." June already knew. She knew one piece. So did everyone, apparently. I said, "I'm not doing this." She walked out of the room and climbed the stairs. A moment later, the bedroom door slammed. June listened until the ceiling stopped creaking. "You shouldn't have come tonight," I said. "No. You came anyway." "Yes." "Why?" "Because you sound too much like your mother when you're angry. That doesn't answer the question. It answers more than you think." She returned to the kitchen and found a knife. We ate cherry pie at the dining room table with the foil casserole and Owen's remaining chicken between us. June scraped the filling away from her crust because she disliked cherries too. "You bought a pie nobody likes," I said. "It was half price." Mom respected that. "Your mother would have eaten roofing shingles if they had an orange sticker." Upstairs, a floorboard creaked. June lowered her voice. "How far have you read?" "January 8th. She started wondering before August. I can see that. She asked me in June whether deployment mail got lost often. What did you tell her? That it could. Could it? Of course. But you didn't believe that. I believed it until she asked whether phone calls got lost the same way. I set down my fork. What did Leah tell her about the calls? I don't know all of it. Evelyn protected Leah. From me? From being reduced to the worst thing she'd done. She was still doing it. I didn't say Evelyn was right. June folded her paper napkin into smaller and smaller squares. "Your mother knew Leah was drowning," she said. "She also knew drowning people can pull others under. Both things were true. That's generous. It isn't generosity. It's accuracy." She glanced toward the stairs. "What did Evelyn ask you to tell her?" I looked at the ceiling. June had been in the room for the beginning of the call, then stepped outside after putting Mom on the phone. She knew there had been a message. She didn't know the words. "I haven't told her," I said. "I gathered that. I found out about the letters less than 4 hours ago, and you've been saving that message for nearly 2 months. Leah had hidden them for 10. June leaned back. "Careful," she said. "With what?" "Making time into a competition. Your sister will always have more of it on her side." She put on her raincoat and left the uneaten half of the pie. I locked the door behind her. When I turned, Leah stood at the bottom of the stairs. "How much does she know?" she asked. "Enough. What did Mom ask you to tell me?" The question hit so close to June's that for a moment I wondered whether Leah had been listening from the landing. I picked up the letters and carried them back to the recliner. "She asked me to stop letting you decide what happened between us." Leah waited. "That's it? It's what I'm telling you tonight." She folded her arms around herself. "You're enjoying this?" "No. You always get that voice when you're winning." I opened the January letter. This isn't a thing anybody wins. Leah stared at me for another second, then went into the kitchen. I heard the refrigerator open, the casserole dish shift, a drawer slam. The microwave started. I returned to Mom's handwriting. She had added a postscript beneath the line about not wanting to be treated like everybody. P.S. Leah cut my hair today. It makes me look like an elderly mushroom, but don't tell her. She hasn't slept properly in a week, and I am trying to remember that love can be clumsy when it's tired. The microwave beeped. Leah stood alone in the kitchen, heating food she claimed not to want, wearing a dead woman's sweatshirt and waiting for a message I wasn't ready to give her. For the first time since I opened the tin, I understood that withholding the truth could feel exactly like control. I carried the January letter into the kitchen. Leah sat at the table with Owen's casserole in front of her. It was tuna noodles with crushed potato chips on top, a dish he made whenever he wanted Grief to develop high blood pressure. She held the fork without eating. Mom said you cut her hair, I said. Leah looked at the page in my hand. I cut it every 5 weeks. She thought it looked like an elderly mushroom, her lips pressed together. She asked for volume. She also said you hadn't slept properly in a week. The fork lowered. She wrote that. Yes, what else? I could have read the postscript aloud. The exact words belonged to Mom, and Leah had already taken enough of those from me. But I wasn't sure whether keeping them private protected anything besides my advantage. She said she was trying to remember that love can be clumsy when it's tired. Leah stared at her plate. That sounds like her, she said. It does. She said things like that after making you feel guilty. Something pretty, so you couldn't complain about the ugly part. That also sounds like her. Leah took a bite of casserole and chewed. It needs salt. Owen's afraid of seasoning. He put potato chips on top. That's texture. He respects texture. She pushed the dish toward the center of the table. I found another fork. We ate from opposite sides of the same casserole because most of the plates were already boxed. Leah took the corners with more potato chips. I took the center where it was hotter. For several minutes, the only sound was metal scraping glass. Did she say she loved me? Leah asked. Not in those words. Of course not. The sentence was about you. That isn't the same. No. Mom had told both of us she loved us often enough, but usually while leaving a room or ending a call, when the words functioned like a latch. Direct gratitude made her uncomfortable. If Leah brought groceries, Mom complained about the brand and later told 3 other people Leah was a saint. If I received a commendation, she changed the subject in front of me and mailed the newspaper clipping to cousins I barely knew. We learned to look sideways for affection. Then we blamed each other for standing in the way. Leah rubbed her eyes. You can have the bed, she said. I have a bed upstairs. Mom's clothes are on it. I can move them. Don't put them on the floor. I'm aware of gravity and furniture. She hated her clothes on the floor. She isn't going to see them. Leah's fork struck the casserole dish. I waited for the explosion. Instead, she whispered, I know. She stood, covered the leftovers, and put them in the refrigerator. This time, she slapped its side before it began rattling. I returned to the letters. By midnight, I had reached February. Mom's handwriting changed before her words did. It grew larger, then smaller, depending on how tired she was. Some lines were dark enough to leave grooves in the paper. Others faded halfway across the page. She wrote about Leah cleaning the bathtub drain with an old toothbrush, then throwing away Mom's good toothbrush by mistake. She wrote that June had brought soup and stayed long enough to irritate them both. She wrote that Owen repaired the porch step and used 3 times the number of screws any reasonable structure required. She kept asking for one true thing. January 19th. Tell me what the sky looks like where you are. January 27th. Tell me what you ate today that you would refuse to eat here. February 3rd. Tell me whether you are frightened sometimes. I promise not to make it about myself. I had sent those truths in text messages that Leah said she read aloud. Dust turned the horizon white by afternoon. The dining facility served something they called Salisbury steak, which may have violated several treaties. Yes, sometimes. Mom never answered them in the letters because, as far as she knew, I had never sent them. Her own truths appeared anyway. The oxygen tubing hurts behind my ears. I'm angry at my body for becoming the loudest person in every room. Leah sang in the kitchen today. She has a terrible voice and thinks illness has damaged my hearing enough that I won't know. At 12:40, I heard the stairs creak. Leah paused outside the living room but didn't come in. Her shadow remained beneath the doorframe for almost a minute. Then it disappeared. I slept in my old bed beneath 3 of Mom's dresses. Moving them would have required decisions. I laid them lengthwise beside me like quiet passengers and pulled a spare blanket over myself. A metallic chirp woke me in darkness. I came upright with my hand reaching toward where my boots should have been. The chirp sounded again. Not an alarm. The smoke detector needed a battery. I went into the hall. A light glowed downstairs. Leah lay on the living room sofa with one foot on the floor. She wore the same sweatshirt, now covered by a green afghan. One hand hung over the edge, fingers curled around empty air beside the pale rectangle where the oxygen concentrator had stood. "Mom?" she said. I stopped on the bottom step. Her eyes opened. For a second, neither of us moved. Then Leah withdrew her hand and sat up. "Smoke detector," I said. "I heard it. You were asleep." "I wasn't. You called for Mom." "No, I didn't." The detector chirped. Leah kicked off the afghan and went to the junk drawer. She found a battery, dragged a dining chair beneath the detector, and climbed onto it. "Get down," I said. "I'm changing a battery. You're half asleep. I've changed oxygen tanks at 3 in the morning. There's no oxygen tank." She froze with both hands above her head. The chair wobbled. I stepped forward and steadied its back. Leah twisted the detector free, changed the battery, and pressed the test button. A deafening beep filled the hall. "Good," she said. "We're saved." She climbed down without taking my hand. On the sofa, the cookie tin stood open. The February letters were stacked in date order beside it. "You read them," I said. "No, they were on the floor. I moved them so I could sit. You arranged them. I know dates." The new battery silenced the house. Leah picked up the afghan and folded it. Mom had crocheted it from 3 shades of green because the store discontinued one halfway through. Leah matched the corners carefully. "She slept out here near the end," she said. "I'd lie down for an hour after she settled. The machine had different alarms. Low pressure, kink in the line, power. I could tell which one before I opened my eyes." "You still sleep out here?" "Sometimes. There's a bed upstairs." "I know." She put the afghan over the sofa back. "You can't sleep beside an alarm that isn't there," I said. "I didn't ask for a wellness assessment. It wasn't one. Everything you say sounds official. Everything you hear sounds like criticism." She stepped closer. "You don't get to watch me have one bad night and understand what this was. I didn't say I understood. You had someone covering for you when you slept. Not always. You had a system. Yes. I was the system." The words came out flat without self-pity. That made them harder to reject. I looked at the dent in the sofa cushion and the empty floor beside it. "I believe you," I said. Leah folded her arms. Belief was not what she expected from me. She looked almost offended by it. The smoke detector stayed quiet. "Go back to bed," she said. I did. When I came down again, daylight had turned the wet yard gray. Leah was showered, dressed, and making coffee strong enough to strip paint. The legal pad lay on the table. She tapped Tuesday's line. "Bedrooms. Your schedule says kitchen was yesterday. I did the kitchen before you arrived. Then why are there 11 boxes in it? Those are finished. They're blocking the back door. They're labeled." "A label isn't a transportation plan." Her mouth pulled sideways. "You must be fun during evacuations. People rarely comment." She handed me a mug. It said, "World's Okayest Mom." Mom had bought it for herself. We went upstairs with empty boxes. Leah took the closet. I worked through the dresser, separating sleepwear, socks, and things no charity should be forced to inspect. Mom had kept every bra she'd owned since the first Bush administration. She believed elastic was immortal, I said. She believed she was going to lose 10 pounds. She weighed 106 when she died, and still had jeans she was saving for when she got skinny. We laughed. It happened at the same time, and both of us stopped too quickly. Leah opened a shoebox filled with scarves. She lifted a red silk one and held it toward me. "You sent this from Germany. Mom said it made her look like a flight attendant. She wore it to church. She liked looking judgmental at altitude." Leah smiled before turning away. We filled one donation box, then another. At the bottom of the closet hung Leah's salon apron, black and dusted with fine silver hair that had survived washing. Mom's or a client's, I couldn't tell. "You keeping this?" I asked. Leah took it from me. Her name was embroidered over the pocket in pink. Leah, heir apparent. Mom had ordered it after Leah earned her license. Leah had threatened to throw it away for 18 years. "I don't know," she said. "Put it in blue." The blue boxes aren't indecision. What are they? Things I need to look at when you're not here. That's an elaborate spelling of indecision. She put the apron in a blue box. By noon, we had cleared half the closet. Leah went downstairs to reheat casserole. I sat on the bedroom floor and opened the next letter. February 10th. Mom complained about the cold and said Leah had forbidden her from walking to the mailbox because the porch steps were slick. Then she wrote, "Your father's birthday is Sunday. I know you usually call. Leah says you told her you won't be able to this year, so I'm going to pretend I don't mind." I had called that Sunday at 9:15 in the morning. Leah answered on the fourth ring. Her voice was low. "Mom doesn't want to talk today," she had told me. "She says hearing you would make it worse." I read Mom's sentence again. Then I went downstairs carrying the letter. Leah was standing over the stove, stirring noodles in a saucepan. "Dad's birthday," I said. Her hand stopped. "February 12th. I called. She stared into the pan. "I remember. You told me Mom didn't want to talk to me." Leah turned off the burner. She didn't. She wrote that she was waiting. She changed her mind. Before or after I called, Leah placed the spoon on the counter with careful precision. "That day wasn't about you." "No," I said. "It was about Dad," which is why I called. She'd been crying since 5 in the morning. "And you thought hearing from me would make it worse?" "I knew it would." "Because she said so?" Leah looked at the letter in my hand. Then she looked at the blue cookie tin on the table behind me. "No," she said. "Because I needed one day when I wasn't the person standing beside her while she wished you were there." The honesty sat between us, plain and terrible. Leah turned the burner back on. The noodles had started sticking to the saucepan. She scraped them hard enough to tear the soft ones apart. "One day," I said. "That's what I said." "No. You said you needed one day. I'm asking whether you only did it once." She kept scraping. "How many calls?" "I don't know. You don't forget something like that. You do when every day feels the same." "Mom's birthday? You were here for her birthday. 4th of July? You called during dinner. Easter? It wasn't Easter yet. Then give me the dates you remember." She swung around. "I did not keep a mission log of every imperfect thing I did while taking care of our dying mother. But you kept her letters." Her face twisted. The saucepan hissed. A piece of noodle had fallen against the burner. Leah grabbed the handle without a pot holder, cursed, and dropped it. The pan struck the stove, spraying noodles and sauce over the controls. I reached past her and switched off the burner. "I'm fine," she said. "Put your hand under water. It's not burned. Then the water won't hurt." She shoved her hand beneath the faucet. A red line appeared across her palm. I found the small first aid kit she kept above the refrigerator. Of course it was organized. Gauze in one compartment, ointment in another, expiration dates written in black marker. Leah saw me looking at it. "What?" "Nothing." "You think I'm incompetent now? I think you grabbed a hot pan. I know how to treat a burn." "Then treat it." She dried her hand and applied ointment without accepting help. I cleaned noodles from the stove. "That's my lunch," she said. "It's also on the clock. Leave it. I'm already doing it. You love being useful when somebody can watch." I held the dishcloth under the faucet. That's Mom talking. No, it isn't. She said that when I fixed things. Because you'd come home for 4 days, repair a railing nobody asked you to repair, reorganize everything, and leave me to figure out where you put it. The railing moved. She needed help bathing. You told me she wouldn't let me help. She wouldn't. Then what exactly should I have done? Stayed long enough for her to change her mind. We stood on opposite sides of the ruined lunch. There it was again. The arithmetic neither of us could solve. I counted what I had done. Leah counted the hours after I stopped doing it. I had leave limits, I said. You always had a reason. They weren't imaginary. I know. The quiet way she said it took the argument out of my hands. I wiped sauce from the stove knob. I should have asked you how you were doing, I said. Leah looked suspicious. I did ask, I continued, but usually after I asked about Mom and usually when I needed information. You asked whether I was maintaining. I thought it sounded less stupid than asking if you were okay. It didn't. I understand that now. Do you? No. I understand it sounded stupid. Her mouth moved as if she might smile. She didn't. I threw the dishcloth into the sink. You still don't get to keep my calls from her. I know. The words were so soft I almost missed them. Say it again. No. Why? Because you'll make it evidence. It is evidence. This is what I mean. What do you mean? You don't want me to be sorry. You want me recorded. I looked down at the February letter. Mom's handwriting showed through the back of the page like bruising. I don't know what I want from you yet, I said. That's honest, at least. Don't sound relieved. I'm not. We ate yogurt for lunch. Afterward, Leah insisted we take the donation boxes before she changed her mind. We loaded 6 into Mom's Buick, a beige car designed to make speed feel disrespectful. Leah drove. I held a box of shoes on my knees because the trunk was full of folded walkers, an unused shower chair, and a portable oxygen rack waiting to be returned. You still have the medical equipment, I said. They're picking it up Friday. Do they know? I called twice. I can call again. I called twice. I watched wet streets pass outside. Every yard seemed to have a decorative flag announcing a football team, a season, or a general commitment to welcome. Mom's flag had said, "Bless this mess," until Leah took it down because the metal stand became a tripping hazard. At the donation center, a man with a gray ponytail rolled out a cart. He looked inside the first box. These women's clothes? Our mothers, Leah said. Sorry for your loss. Thank you. It came out polished, a response she had used enough to smooth every edge. He lifted a box from the back seat and the cardboard bottom sagged. Careful, Leah said. There's glass. I marked it, I said. The marker rubbed off. It's visible. Not from that side. The man froze, holding the box between us. I've got it, he said. Leah reached for it anyway. I caught her elbow. Let him carry it. It's Mom's crystal. You put it in donate. I know where I put it. The man looked toward the building, perhaps calculating whether unemployment would be easier. Leah let go. He carried the box inside. We stood beside the Buick while volunteers unloaded the rest. When they took the navy dress Mom had worn to my promotion, its sleeve slipped through the handhold. Leah tucked it back in before the box rolled away. I expected her to cry. Instead, she looked at me. You could have kept that, so could you. I didn't go to the ceremony. That's not why you wanted it. She rubbed her burned palm with her thumb. I was supposed to go, she said. I remember. Mom's flight got canceled. I drove her 6 hours so she wouldn't miss it. I know. You thanked her for coming. The old photo returned to me. Mom beneath a white event tent, navy dress, uncomfortable shoes, smiling beside me. Leah had taken the picture. I remembered complaining that she tilted the camera. I did not remember thanking her for driving. I should have thanked you, I said. Now you sound like a condolence card. I'm working with limited materials. That time, she smiled. It lasted until we got back into the car. On the drive home, Leah stopped at a red light and said, I thought there was more time. I waited. With Mom, she said. In February, she'd have bad days and then recover. The doctor would change something. June would tell her to use the breathing exercises, and she'd come back. Come back to what? To herself. The light turned green. A driver behind us tapped the horn. Leah drove. "I didn't think she'd die while you were gone," she said. "Not at first. What did you think would happen to the letters?" "I don't know." "That's not true? I thought I'd give them to you." "When?" "When you got home." "While she was alive?" "Yes." "And then what?" "You'd read them. You'd call. She'd yell at both of us. You're imagining I had some 10-month plan. I didn't. You made the same choice 23 times. Not the same choice. How were they different? The first one was a decision. The rest were consequences." I turned toward her. "That is one of the cleanest lies you've ever told. It isn't a lie. Putting a second letter in the tin was a decision. It was already happening. You were already doing it." That's what I said. "No. You changed the subject from yourself to the situation." She pulled into Mom's driveway too fast. The Buick's right tire climbed the curb, then dropped hard. "Happy?" she asked. "About what?" "You caught the wording. I'm not grading you. You always are." Inside, the house smelled faintly of burned sauce. Leah carried the empty boxes to the basement. I returned the February letter to the tin and opened the next one. February 18th. Mom wrote that Leah had taken her to the pulmonologist and argued with the receptionist over a missing wheelchair. She described Leah wheeling her through the lobby at a speed usually associated with bank robberies. She said they stopped for milkshakes afterward, even though cold drinks made her cough. "Your sister is angry all the time now," she wrote. "Not at me exactly, though I'm nearest and therefore convenient. She's angry at clocks, pill bottles, traffic lights, and anyone whose mother can still walk through a grocery store. I wish I knew how to help her without becoming one more job she has to do." I read it again. The next paragraph was about me. "I think she is angriest when I say your name. I keep saying it when I am afraid, and she keeps being the one who answers." My first instinct was to defend myself to a dead woman. I had answered when I knew she was calling. I had done the work in front of me because people depended on me. I had called, sent money when the medical co-pays piled up, used every day of leave I could manage without tearing holes other people would have to cover. All of it was true. Downstairs, something heavy scraped across concrete. Leah was moving boxes alone rather than ask me. I folded the letter along Mom's original crease. The next envelope was dated February 25th. It began with 6 words. "I was unfair to Leah today." Before I could read further, a crash came from the basement. I ran downstairs. Leah stood at the bottom beside a split cardboard box. Old photo albums had spilled across the floor. One lay open at her feet to a picture of Mom, Dad, Leah, and me at a picnic table. We were all adults already, but young enough to believe adulthood had settled something. Leah crouched and picked up the photograph. "Look," she said. Mom was leaning toward me in the picture. Dad was watching Mom. I was laughing at someone outside the frame. Leah was the only one looking directly at the camera. "I was there," she said. "I see you." "No." She touched her own face in the photograph. "I mean, I was always there." I knelt across from her and began gathering the albums. "I know. You keep saying that like knowing now fixes what you didn't see then. It doesn't." She searched my face, looking for resistance. I had none to give her. Her shoulders dropped. Then her eyes moved to the letter still in my hand. What did she say about me? I looked at Mom's first line. She said she'd been unfair to you. Leah waited for more. I unfolded the page. For once, we read it together. Mom's writing slanted sharply across the first paragraph. Leah asked to have lunch with Denise from the salon today, and I made her feel guilty until she canceled. I told myself I was frightened to be alone. The truth is, I was frightened she would remember she has a life that does not smell like rubbing alcohol in canned soup. Leah's breath caught beside me. Denise was the business partner who had bought Leah's half of the salon. She'd attended the funeral in a fitted black dress, hugged Leah for a long time, and left before the ham. Mom continued. She said it was fine, which is how I knew it wasn't. Your sister has always been honest at full volume and dishonest very quietly. I apologized, but I did it badly. I said I couldn't help needing her. That made my need her responsibility all over again. Leah took the page from my hand. She read the rest silently, lips moving over a few words. I looked down at the photo albums rather than watch her face. The basement smelled like concrete, old paper, and the faint chemical sweetness of Mom's laundry detergent. Dad's workbench still stood against the far wall, though Leah had cleared most of his tools after he died. A coffee can of loose screws remained beneath it because Mom believed screws reproduced if left in darkness. She never apologized, Leah said. She says she did. She said, "I'm sorry I'm such a burden." That's not an apology, that's bait. What happened when she said it? I told her she wasn't a burden, so you took it. What was I supposed to say? The truth. The truth was that sometimes she was. Leah's eyes widened at her own sentence. The house did not collapse. Mom did not call from upstairs to object. Yes, I said. She was sick. She was also difficult before she was sick. She couldn't help most of it. Most isn't all. Leah folded the letter along the existing crease, then unfolded it. She told you, she said. She wrote to me. She felt bad about what she did to me, and she told you. I understood then why that particular letter had ended up in the tin. Mom had made Leah's pain into another private conversation with me. Even her apology had traveled toward the daughter who wasn't there. You wanted her to say it to you, I said. I wanted her to know she'd said it. She did know, on paper, to somebody else. Leah handed the letter back. I didn't read these, she said, if that's what you're thinking. I'm not. She talked while she wrote. Not every word, but enough. What did she say about this one? That she'd been selfish and you would understand. The last part came out bitter. Did you ask her what she meant? I knew what she meant. You always understand Mom after the damage is over. You get the edited version. I looked at the woman in front of me. Burned palm, gray at her temples, Mom's sweatshirt hanging from her shoulders. Leah had received the unedited version of everything. The panic, the blame, the bodily indignities. I had received photographs after Mom put on lipstick. You're right, I said, Leah's head tilted. Don't what? Agree like that, how should I agree? You say it calmly and suddenly I feel like I'm the one being dramatic. I don't have another voice. Yes, you do. I have louder. She laughed despite herself, then covered her face with one hand. I slid the photograph from the album. A handwritten date on the back placed it 14 years earlier, at Owen's first house after his divorce. Someone outside the frame had made me laugh. Probably Owen. Dad watched Mom. Mom leaned toward me, and Leah alone faced the camera. I placed it in her lap. You should keep this. Why? You were there. She looked at the picture for a long time. Then she slipped it back into the album. No, she said. We keep the whole thing. We spent the next hour on the basement floor dividing albums by year and discovering Mom had no respect for chronology. A Christmas photograph appeared between a funeral and a 4th of July cookout. Dad's retirement dinner shared a page with Leah's salon opening. My basic training graduation was filed behind pictures of a plumbing leak. Leah narrated details I had forgotten. That was the day Dad locked his keys in the Buick. You're thinking of another Buick. He locked his keys in all of them. That one belonged to Owen. Then Dad locked Owen's keys in Owen's Buick. We found a photograph of Mom asleep in a lawn chair with a paper plate balanced on her chest. Leah remembered the food. I remembered the argument before it. Between us, a day returned. At the bottom of the last box was the recruiting brochure Mom mentioned in her first letter. Its cover showed 3 clean soldiers staring heroically into sunlight no actual soldier would face without squinting. Leah picked it up. She kept it. She threatened to burn it. She made copies before you left for basic. Copies of what? Your enlistment contract. She thought you'd joined a cult. That tracks. She called the recruiting office and asked if there was a cooling off period. I didn't know that. The recruiter stopped answering when he saw our number. I smiled. That explains why he was so happy when I shipped. Leah ran her thumb along the brochure's worn fold. She was proud of you. Eventually. No. Immediately. She was just furious pride didn't give her any control. I looked at her. You sound like June. That's hateful. A knock came from upstairs. Owen called through the front door. I have bubble wrap and no opinions. Leah rolled her eyes. He has never entered a building without opinions. We carried the albums upstairs together. Owen stood in the kitchen beside 3 rolls of bubble wrap, a stack of flattened boxes, and a tray of coffees. He had labeled 1 cup Mara, black, 1 Leah, too much, and 1 Owen, personal. I was told there'd be hostility, he said. I prepared. June sent you, Leah said. June strongly suggested I stop being useless. Did she strongly suggest you report back? No, that part was implied. I took my coffee. Leah inspected hers. What's in this? Vanilla, caramel, milk, coffee, and a supporting roll. She drank it. Owen saw the letter in my hand. His joking expression faded. You two reading those together? 1, Leah said. Was that a good idea? No, we answered at the same time. He nodded. Healthy. We wrapped Mom's dishes until the kitchen table disappeared beneath paper and tape. Owen handled the crystal with exaggerated care after hearing about the donation center box. Leah accused him of wasting bubble wrap. I accused her of packing glasses too tightly. Owen packed 1 mug, then announced he was retiring from public service. For almost 2 hours, none of us mentioned the letters. Then Owen found the blue tin beneath the table while reaching for tape. He straightened slowly. I should tell Aunt Celia I was wrong, he said. Leah stopped wrapping a gravy boat. Wrong about what? I asked. He glanced at her. Owen, Leah said. No, I said. Finish. He set down the tape. She asked why you weren't calling your mom. I told her you were getting updates through Leah and needed space. When? May. After the church luncheon. Why was Celia asking? Your mom told her she hadn't heard from you. I called every week. I know that now. Leah folded a sheet of paper around the gravy boat. Celia never liked me, she said. This isn't about whether Celia likes you, I said. It always is with her. What else did you tell people? I didn't issue a press release. You let them believe I stopped calling. I wasn't going to explain every private conversation. You created the private conversations. Owen shifted his weight. I can call Celia. No, Leah said. I looked at him. Not yet. Leah's head came up. Why not? Because I haven't decided what I'm saying. You don't need to say anything. This was between us and Mom. You told Owen. Owen told Celia. Mom told June. It stopped being between us when you made other people carry your version. Her hand tightened around the wrapped gravy boat. So what are you going to do? Call everyone and tell them I'm a monster? I'm going to tell the truth. Whose? The part I know. That's never stopped anybody in this family. She shoved the gravy boat into a box and walked upstairs. Owen watched her go. I made that worse. You said something true. Those are not mutually exclusive. He left before dinner, taking 2 donation boxes and promising to return the medical equipment Friday if the company failed to collect it. Leah remained upstairs. I sat in the living room and opened the next letter. February 25th continued for 3 pages. Mom described the lunch Leah missed, admitted she was afraid of being left alone, and asked whether I ever resented people for needing me. Then, beneath a line scratched out so heavily it tore the paper, she wrote, Sometimes your sister looks at me as if I have taken her whole life and still asked why she didn't bring flowers. The March 4th letter was lighter. Mom had discovered a television show about antique furniture and now believed Dad's ugly end table might be valuable. It wasn't. Owen had made it in a community college woodworking class. March 12th mentioned a call I made from a supply office while wind shoved grit against the windows. I remembered Leah putting me on speaker. Mom sounded breathless but cheerful. We talked for 11 minutes about nothing. Mom remembered it differently. Thank you for calling, she wrote. Leah says you had to go before I came back from the bathroom. I'm sorry I missed you. I checked the date. I had spoken to someone. I read the line again, then heard Leah on the stairs. She stopped in the doorway when she saw my face. March 12th, I said. You put me on speaker. Her gaze dropped to the letter. Mom and I talked for 11 minutes. Leah didn't answer. What did she say? I asked. I don't remember. She complained about the neighbor's wind chimes. She asked if I was eating enough. She told me you'd burn toast. Leah sat on the bottom step. I heard my own voice from that call answering Mom, laughing when she called the desert that sandbox. I had carried the memory for 7 months without questioning it. Then Leah said, she was asleep. The room seemed to tilt. What? She'd had morphine. She was asleep in the bedroom. Then who was I talking to? Leah looked at her hands. Me, she said. You were talking to me. I waited for her to take it back. Leah sat with her elbows on her knees and studied the floor. You pretended to be Mom. I answered the phone. You pretended to be Mom for 11 minutes. You called my cell. I always called your cell because you said hers confused her. It did. You said, "Hi, honey." Leah shut her eyes. The room returned in pieces. Wind against the supply office window. The call cutting in and out. A forklift reversing somewhere behind me. Mom's voice thinner than I remembered, flattened by distance and a cheap speaker. I had done most of the talking. I told her I'd eaten. I said the weather was dry. I described a bird that kept landing on a concrete barrier outside our building. The voice on the other end said the bird had better sense than I did and complained about the neighbor's wind chimes. All things Mom might say. All things Leah had heard her say. You asked about Sergeant Morales, I said. You'd mentioned her before. You called her the one with the eyebrows. Mom called her that in November. You told me you loved me. Leah looked up. No, she said. You said you loved Mom, and you said it back. I said, love you too. You let me believe yes. The words stopped me harder than another excuse would have. I stood. The letter shook once in my hand. I folded it before Leah could see. When did you decide? There wasn't a decision. You keep saying that as if choices only count when you schedule them. You called. She was asleep. You sounded tired, so you impersonated her out of compassion. I did not impersonate her. You answered her questions in her voice. I sound like her on the phone. Everybody says so. You use that. At first, I thought you knew it was me. That is insulting to both of us. You said, "Hey, Mom." I said, "Hey." Then you started talking, and you corrected me? No, you had 11 minutes. The connection was bad. Not that bad. I kept waiting for you to notice. The cruelty of it took a second to reach me. This was a test. No, you wanted to prove I couldn't tell the difference. I wanted to know if you could. That is the same sentence. Leah stood too. You didn't notice. I was 8,000 miles away on a bad line, listening to what I thought was our sick mother. Exactly. The letter tore where my fingers gripped the fold. We both looked down. A small split had opened through Mom's sentence. Leah reached for it. I stepped back. I was taking care of her, she said. I knew every change in her voice. I knew whether she had a fever by how she said my name. I knew when she was lying about pain. You couldn't tell you were talking to me. You wanted me to fail. I wanted one thing to be real. What thing? That being here made a difference. You could have told me she was asleep. I had done that before. You got angry. I got angry because every time I called, there was another reason I couldn't talk to her. She was sick. She was also awake sometimes. Not on demand. I never asked for on demand. You called from work and expected her to be available because you had 15 minutes. I called at the times you gave me, because those were the times I thought she'd be awake. Sometimes she wasn't. Then you tell me that. You don't put on her voice and punish both of us. I didn't punish her. You told her she missed my call. She did. No, you took it. Leah's mouth opened. Nothing came out. I had finally found the sentence that reached past her defenses, and I hated the satisfaction I felt when it landed. She sank back onto the step. I told her you called, she said. And? She asked why I didn't wake her. What did you say? That you couldn't stay on the phone. That wasn't true. You had to go eventually. Everybody has to go eventually. It doesn't make every goodbye honest. Her eyes filled. I didn't feel gentler. Did you do it again? No. How do I know? You don't. The answer was immediate. I looked at the 23 envelopes. My memories had become unstable. Every call routed through Leah, every text she claimed to read aloud, every cheerful photograph cropped around illness. I could no longer tell where omission ended and invention began. I put the March letter into the tin. Where are you going? Leah asked. Out. You don't have a car. I have a phone. It's raining. I noticed. Mara. I closed the lid. She stood when I picked up the tin. You're taking them? Yes. They belonged to Mom. She addressed them to me. I kept them safe. The sentence was so astonishing, I laughed. Leah's face collapsed. I carried the tin upstairs, put on my field jacket, and packed the letters into my duffel between two folded uniforms. I left Mom's clothes on the bed. Leah waited by the front door. I'm not asking you to forgive it, she said. That's good. I'm telling you it happened once. You hid 23 letters. I meant the call. I know what you meant. What are you going to tell Owen? I haven't decided. June? I haven't decided. Everyone? The last word cracked. I zipped my jacket. You were comfortable deciding what everyone believed about me. So now you get a turn? No, that's the problem. I opened the door. Cold rain struck my face before I reached the sidewalk. I walked 3 blocks before calling Owen. He answered on the first ring. Did she throw you out? No. Did you throw her out? It isn't our house. That wasn't my question. Can you pick me up? His truck appeared 9 minutes later. He leaned across to push open the passenger door, moving a pile of ratchet straps and fast food napkins from the seat. You bring the letters? They're in my duffel. You planning to invade Indiana? I packed before I called. Right, I climbed in. He turned up the heat and didn't ask where we were going. He drove to a 24-hour diner beside the interstate, the kind with laminated menus and carpet patterned to conceal crimes against syrup. A waitress named Gloria brought coffee without asking whether we wanted it. Owen ordered pie. You just ate pie, I said. That was hostile pie. He waited until Gloria left. What happened? I told him. His face changed slowly, disbelief giving way to recognition. She used to do Aunt Evelyn's voice, he said. When? Joking around. At the salon. She'd call me and say, Owen, I found another screw in the driveway. And I'd think it was Evelyn for a second. That's not helping. I'm not trying to help. I'm confirming she could sound like her. She let me talk for 11 minutes. I heard you. She wanted to see if I'd know. That sounds like Leah. You say that as if it explains something. It explains why she'd do a thing that hurt her as much as it hurt you. How did it hurt her? Owen stirred sugar into his coffee, though he'd ordered it sweet. Because now she knows you didn't know. I looked out the window. Trucks moved along the wet highway, red lights smearing across the glass. I knew Mom's voice. I know, I was tired. The connection was bad. I know, I wanted it to be her. There it is. I glared at him. He raised both hands. Not blaming you, sometimes wanting does half the impersonation for the other person. Gloria brought pie, apple this time. Owen pushed it toward me. I ate 3 bites before realizing I was hungry. My phone buzzed. Sergeant Morales had sent a picture of the bird outside the concrete barrier. It had built a nest in a coil of discarded wire. Home good, she wrote. I typed, complicated. She replied, so home. I smiled despite myself. Owen watched. Army? Morales? The one with the eyebrows? I stared at him. What? Nothing. For a moment, I could hear Leah's voice on that March call, borrowing Mom's joke because she knew it would sound right. I couldn't tell whether Mom had invented the description or Leah had. Even the smallest memory now came with fingerprints. Owen let me sleep in his spare room, which smelled like motor oil despite being on the opposite side of the house from his garage. I put the duffel beside the bed and lay awake until after 3. At 3:17, my phone lit up. Leah had sent one message. I didn't keep the first letter because I hated you. I kept it because she had spent the whole night calling for you while I held the mask to her face. In the morning, she asked me to mail you a funny letter so you wouldn't worry. I wanted one day when what I did mattered more than what you might do. A second message appeared. I know it became something else. I did not answer. When I woke, Owen had left coffee outside the door in a travel mug labeled World's Best Ex-Husband. A note beneath it said he'd gone to work and would return by 5 unless something caught fire. I opened my duffel. The tin had shifted during the drive. Letters lay at angles inside it, their order disturbed. I arranged them by date on Owen's guest room floor, March 19th. Mom described an argument with Leah over a heating pad and asked whether I had received the scarf she'd supposedly mailed. No scarf had arrived. March 27th. She said her doctor wanted her using oxygen continuously. She complained that the tubing made her look tethered to a vacuum cleaner. April 3rd. The handwriting was faint. I heard you laughing on Leah's phone a few weeks ago. She says I dreamed it, but I don't think I did. Dreams have better lighting. If that was you, I'm sorry I couldn't wake up. I sat back against the bed. Mom had heard us. The next line had been squeezed into the margin. Your sister has begun answering questions I haven't asked. That usually means she is afraid of the ones I will. The April 10th envelope was thicker than the others. Mom had used 3 sheets of stationery and written on both sides, something she considered poor manners. She told me about a television commercial that made Leah cry, though Leah claimed shampoo had gotten in her eye from 6 feet away. She described June replacing a cracked oxygen tube. She asked whether I remembered the yellow dress she wore to Dad's retirement dinner and said Leah had found it in the closet with the dry cleaning tag still attached. Then she stopped being funny. You've always been very good at being useful, she wrote. You learned early that people praise the daughter who solves a problem and become uncomfortable with the daughter who has one. I helped teach you that. The Army simply gave you better equipment. I shifted against the bed. I don't know whether you are receiving these letters. I also don't know whether I'm using that possibility to avoid admitting you might be receiving them and choosing silence. Both explanations hurt, and I keep selecting whichever one lets me sleep. Below that, she had drawn a crooked line across the page. One true thing. I'm afraid to ask Leah directly because I need her too much to make her angry. I read it again. Mom had known enough to be afraid and doubted herself enough to stay quiet. Dependence had not made her innocent. It had made honesty expensive. The next letter was dated April 18th. She wrote that she'd asked Leah whether deployment mail could take 4 months. Leah said yes, especially when the military screened letters for security content. Mom asked whether her description of the neighbor's inflatable Easter rabbit was a threat to national defense. I laughed, then covered my mouth in Owen's empty house. Leah had invented a mail screening process. Mom had mocked it. Neither one had forced the lie into the open. On April 26th, Mom wrote only half a page. Her breathing had been bad. She apologized for the short letter and told me not to worry. On May 2nd, she wrote 4 pages and said nothing about being sick. I lined the read letters beside the bed, keeping them in order. The act settled me. Dates did not explain people, but they prevented people from rearranging cause and effect to protect themselves. At the bottom of the May 2nd letter, Mom had written, Your sister thinks I make excuses for you. Sometimes I do. You think I make excuses for her. Sometimes I do that too. The benefit of having 2 daughters is always having someone else to blame for the way you raise them. I put the page down. My shoulder ached from carrying the duffel in the rain. I rotated it until the joint clicked. At work, pain could be measured against function. Could I lift, drive, focus? Was I making someone else carry my load? At home, pain became a competition judged by witnesses nobody trusted. My phone showed no new message from Leah. I typed. I read April 3rd. 3 dots appeared immediately. They vanished. I added, Mom heard the call. This time, Leah answered. I know. I stared at the words. How long have you known? Since the next morning. What did she say? Nothing at first. I waited. Then, she asked why I sounded like her. My fingers went cold. What did you tell her? That she was confused. The reply sat on the screen without defense or decoration. I called Leah. She answered but didn't speak. You told her she was confused. Yes, you made me doubt my memory. You made her doubt hers. I know. Stop saying you know. What do you want me to say? The truth before I drag it out of you. I thought she was asleep. When she said she heard us, I panicked. You had until the next morning to prepare your panic. She asked while I was changing her tubing. So you used the one thing she feared. I didn't plan it. You knew her disease could make her disoriented. Yes. You used that? Yes. The clean admissions no longer impressed me. They felt like Leah tossing down weapons after firing them. Did she believe you? I asked. I don't know. You always know when people believe you. She looked at me like she wanted to. That answer sounded true. I closed my eyes. What happened after? She asked if you'd called. I said yes. She asked whether you knew it was me. I said yes. So you lied in both directions. Yes. Why didn't you tell me in your message last night? I was trying to explain the first letter. You were selecting the part that made you sympathetic. She breathed into the phone. That's what people do when they explain themselves, Mara. No, that's what they do when they're still managing the truth. I ended the call. At 4:05, Owen returned carrying the smell of motor oil and cold air. He found me on the guest room floor, surrounded by letters. You alphabetizing grief? Chronological. Of course. He leaned against the doorframe. How bad? Worse. That's efficient. I handed him Mom's April 10th letter. He read the paragraph about her being afraid to confront Leah, then sat on the edge of the bed. She knew. She suspected. Same thing in this family. No. Knowing creates responsibility. Suspecting lets you complain forever. That from the army? Thanksgiving again. He returned the page. I could have helped more, he said. This isn't your confession. I know. But everyone keeps acting like Leah became the only person available through a natural process. You repaired things. I repaired things because broken steps don't ask how I'm feeling. I looked at him. What? Mom said I was good at being useful. Yeah. You and every Ellison with a toolbox. You're a Calder. My mother was an Ellison. The defect travels through women. He bent to pick up a fallen envelope. Leah called me a lot last spring, he said. I stopped answering every time. Why? She'd talk for an hour and reject everything I suggested. She didn't want suggestions. I know that now. No, you knew it then. You just didn't know what else to offer. He rubbed a black crescent beneath his thumbnail. Maybe. She called me too. I turned every call into a status report. You were deployed. I was still her sister. Owen looked toward the hallway. You going back? Yes. Today? Yes. You want me there? No. Good. I was asking out of obligation. I packed the letters carefully. Before closing the tin, I placed the March 12th letter inside a clear plastic sleeve from Owen's desk so the tear wouldn't spread. He drove me to Mom's house. Leah's Buick was in the driveway. Blue boxes lined the front porch beneath the overhang, protected from the rain but not from anyone who wanted to take them. Owen frowned. She putting those outside to make a point? She usually labels her points. We carried my duffel in. The living room had been stripped. The recliner was gone. Pale dents marked where its legs had stood. The ceramic cardinal from the kitchen window sat alone on the mantel, facing outward. Leah came from the hallway holding a roll of tape. "Where's the chair?" I asked. "Celia wanted it. You gave it to her?" "She came this afternoon." "What did you tell her? That you were staying with Owen? About the letters?" Leah pulled tape free with her teeth and sealed a box. "She asked why you left. I said we argued. Did you correct what she believes about me? No. Owen set down the duffel. I should go, he said. Leah looked at him. You always do. He took that without answering. I touched his arm. Thank you. He nodded and left. Leah carried the sealed box toward the porch. I stepped in front of the door. What's in the blue boxes? Things I'm taking to my apartment. You said blue meant things you needed to look at without me. I looked. All of them? I had time. You were packing to leave. We have 11 days. I'm getting ahead. You cleared the living room in 6 hours. You wanted a transportation plan. She tried to move around me. I didn't move. Her burned palm showed red beneath the strip of gauze. Mom knew, I said. Leah looked at the duffel. Which letter? April 10th. She was afraid to ask whether you mailed them because she needed you. Leah swallowed. She never asked me directly in April. She didn't claim she did. Then she didn't know. She knew she was afraid. That isn't the same. No. Leah hugged the box tighter. She asked in June, she said. I waited. She held up one of the envelopes and asked why there wasn't a stamp. What did you say? That I bought stamps at the post office. She believed you put them on there? I said I was keeping them off until I mailed the whole stack because postage prices might change. That doesn't make sense. I know. Did she believe it? No. What happened? She asked me to bring the tin. Did you? No. I took the box from her and placed it on the floor. She let me. I need every call, I said. Every message. Every time you told her something I didn't say or told me something she didn't say. I can't remember all of them. Start with what you can. No. Then I'll reconstruct it from the letters and ask everyone you involved. Her eyes flashed. You said you hadn't decided what to tell people. I'm deciding. You don't need the whole family picking through this. You gave them pieces. I'm asking which ones. You want witnesses. I want my own life back. The anger left her face. She sat on the taped box. I told Celia you'd ask Mom not to call unless it was an emergency, she said. I told Owen you needed space. I told June your schedule was unpredictable. It was. I used it when it wasn't relevant. What else? I told Mom your messages were delayed. How delayed? Sometimes days. What did you do with them? Most of the time I read them. Most? Sometimes I forgot. Sometimes? I was tired. I believed that part. She rubbed the gauze on her palm. I told you Mom was sleeping when she didn't want to talk, she said. How many times? Twice. And when she did want to talk? Leah looked toward the empty space where the recliner had been. More. We stayed there until dusk, building a list neither of us wrote down. Dad's birthday. The March call. A Sunday in April when Mom waited while Leah took her phone into the laundry room. 2 texts in May that Leah never read aloud because Mom had spent the morning comparing her to me. A video call in June that Leah canceled after Mom's oxygen level dropped, then told each of us the other had canceled. Some choices came from panic, some from exhaustion. Some had no purpose except punishment. When Leah finally went upstairs, I opened the June 9th letter. Mom's writing wandered into the margins. Today I asked Leah whether she has mailed my letters. She said yes, and I said I believed her. One of us was lying. Perhaps both. I turned the page. I did not challenge her because I was afraid she would leave. I'm ashamed of that. I made her responsible for my survival, then became frightened of her power over it. That is not fair to either daughter. At the bottom, Mom added one final line. If you are reading this, then Leah found a way to become honest. Please understand that honesty after harm is not the same as innocence. Leah had not found a way. She had waited until Mom was dead and handed me the tin like a punishment. I carried the letter upstairs and found my sister sitting among Mom's empty hangers. She knew, I said. Leah looked at the page but didn't take it. I know, she whispered. This time, when she said it, she began to cry. I handed her the letter. Leah held it by the edges as if Mom's writing might come off on her fingers. Tears struck the paper, darkening 2 spots near the crease. She wiped them with her sleeve and made the ink blur. "Careful," I said. She laughed once, painfully. "Now you care if I ruin one. I care if anybody ruins one." She read the whole page. When she reached the last line, she lowered it into her lap. "She knew exactly how to do this," Leah said. "Do what? Make you understand her. She was writing to me. That's what I mean. She could put all the right words on paper for you. With me, she'd say, 'Don't be mad,' and then tell me why I wasn't allowed to be." "You weren't allowed to be mad?" "Oh, I was mad. I just had to keep changing her oxygen while I did it." I sat on the floor opposite her. Empty hangers separated us, their wire hooks tangled together. "What happened in June?" I asked. She asked for the tin. And I told her it was packed away. "Where was it?" "Under her bed." "What did she say?" "She told me to get it. Did you?" "No." Leah folded the letter, then stopped and opened it again when the edges didn't align. "She tried to stand up," she said. "She thought she could get it herself. Her tubing caught on the bed rail and she panicked. I got her back in the chair. Afterwards, she couldn't remember why she'd stood." "Did you remind her?" "No." "Why?" "Because she was breathing." The answer came with anger, as if breathing had settled every lesser obligation. "And later?" I asked. She remembered. "What did you tell her?" "That the letters were making her anxious and I'd put them away. She asked you to mail them." "I know." "Did you tell her you had?" "Yes. You said she knew you were lying." "She did." "Then why keep saying it?" Leah looked down at Mom's line about honesty after harm. "Because if I admitted one lie, all of them became choices again." The phrasing was different now. No situation acting on its own. No consequences pretending they had arrived without her. I picked up a hanger. "You handed me the tin after she died." "Yes." "Why?" "I don't know." "Try. I'd spent 7 weeks looking at it." "Try harder." Her eyes met mine. "I wanted you to hurt," she said. The words were quiet enough that I felt them before I fully heard them. "I wanted you to read how many times she asked for you. I wanted you to know I'd been the one here while she kept reaching past me. Did you expect me to believe I'd ignored her? For a minute, maybe. You wanted me to think she died believing that." Leah's face twisted. "Yes, there were admissions that opened a way forward, that one simply removed the last place either of us could hide." I stood and carried the tangled hangers to the closet. Behind me, Leah said, "I hated myself before I gave them to you. That didn't stop you." "No." "It didn't make it kinder." "No. It doesn't make us even." "I know." I turned. "Stop using those 2 words like they're an apology." She nodded. "I'm sorry," she said. "I wanted the sentence for 10 months. When it arrived, it was too small to hold what had happened." "I believe you," I said. "That isn't the same as forgiving you." "I know." She heard herself, wiped her face, and tried again. "I understand." We finished clearing the bedroom without speaking. That night, I read the letters alone at the kitchen table while Leah slept upstairs. June 18th began with Mom apologizing for her handwriting. She said her fingers had cramped while trying to open a jar and blamed the jar for having a bad attitude. She wrote that Leah had started cutting coupons, though neither of them remembered to use them. She worried Leah had not returned Denise's calls. Then she turned toward me. "You ask your sister for my numbers, my appointments, and whether I'm eating. Those are reasonable questions. I sometimes wish you would ask what made me laugh. A person can survive on perfect information and still feel unseen." I sat back. The military taught us to report what changed: equipment status, personnel status, hazards, delays, anything that affected the mission. Laughter did not go in the report. I remembered calling in June while Leah drove Mom home from an appointment. Mom began telling me about June threatening a parking attendant with her cane. I interrupted to ask what the doctor had said. Mom answered, then tried to finish the story. Someone stepped into the office looking for me, and I told her I had to go. "I'll call back," I'd said. I didn't call until 4 days later. The letter continued. One true thing. Sometimes you make me feel inspected instead of loved. I know you don't mean to. That may be why I have never told you. I put my palm flat on the page. A sound came from the doorway. Leah stood in an old robe holding the yellow mug. I couldn't sleep, she said. I moved the letter closer to myself. She noticed. You don't have to hide them. I'm not going to read over your shoulder. This one is about me. They're all about you. No, they're addressed to me. She filled the kettle. I looked again at Mom's sentence. I asked for numbers, I said. Leah turned on the burner. What? When I called, I asked for oxygen levels and appointments. You asked other things. Like what? Whether she'd watch Jeopardy. That's not a meaningful question. It was to her. You said the television exhausted her. Everything exhausted her. I rubbed my forehead. You could have told me. I did. You said I sounded like her nurse. I thought you were insulting nurses. I was telling you to talk to Mom like a daughter. You usually said it after I asked a question you didn't want to answer. That doesn't mean it wasn't true. The kettle started ticking as it heated. Why didn't you tell me she thought I was inspecting her? Because I didn't know she thought that. She never said? Not like that. I believed her. Mom had found courage in letters because paper couldn't interrupt, leave, or need something back. She had written to me and depended on Leah, giving each daughter the version of herself least likely to challenge her directly. I turned the page toward Leah, read that paragraph. She hesitated. It's about me, I said. I'm asking. Leah read it. She was right, I said. She was also unfair. How? You were trying to know whether she was safe. That's not the same as knowing her. No. But she made you responsible for guessing which version of love she wanted that day. The kettle whistled. Leah made tea and sat across from me. For the first time, the letters remained open between us without either of us reaching to claim them. We read 2 more. June 25th contained a detailed account of Leah arguing with an insurance representative, then crying because the representative thanked her for being patient. Mom wrote that nobody should praise Leah after 4 p.m. because exhaustion made her suspicious. July 2nd said Mom's breathing had stabilized. I remembered Leah sending me that exact word, stable. Mom described it as not getting worse, fast enough to impress anyone. Near the end, she wrote, I asked Leah whether she was angry at you. She said no, which was insulting to all 3 of us. Leah smiled into her tea. She did ask, what did you say after no? That I didn't have time to be angry. Also a lie. I had plenty of anger. Time was the one thing I had. We went to bed after 2. The next day's filled with packing. The medical equipment company failed to arrive Friday morning exactly as Leah predicted. Owen came with his truck, swore at the oxygen rack, then secured it with enough straps to survive a tornado. June arrived while he was tightening the last one. I was told there might be lifting, she said. You have arthritis, Leah told her. I have selective arthritis. She carried the shower chair to the truck before anyone could stop her. When the equipment was loaded, Owen stood beside the tailgate checking the straps. Leah came outside with a box of tubing. Celia thinks Mara asked Mom not to call, she said. Owen looked up. Yes, I told her that. He waited. It wasn't true. I know. No. I mean, I need you to know I said it because I was angry, not because Mara said anything that sounded like that. Owen set down the strap. Okay, I'm going to call Celia. You want me there? No. You want me to warn her? No. You want me to stop offering? Yes. He nodded. That I can do. Leah carried the tubing to the truck. June watched her, then looked at me. That was 1, she said. 1 what? Truth told in the direction where it can do some good. She has more calls to make. So do you. I didn't lie to Celia. I'm not talking about Celia. I knew what she meant. We went inside while Owen drove away. Leah stayed on the porch with her phone, staring at Celia's number. June found me wrapping the ceramic cardinal in newspaper. Have you told her what Evelyn asked you to say? Part of it. That means no. I told her Mom wanted me to stop letting her define what happened. That was about you. It was also true. Evelyn gave you something for Leah, after Leah took everything else. June removed the newspaper from the cardinal and wrapped it again more loosely. No, she said, not everything. You didn't read those letters. I don't need to. Then don't tell me what she took. June tucked the paper around the bird's wings. You're right, she said. The lack of resistance irritated me more than an argument. She placed the cardinal in a box, but using Evelyn's message to make Leah wait is still a choice, she added. You know that now better than anyone. It is not the same. I didn't say it was. You're making them equivalent. No. Leah withheld a relationship for 10 months. You're withholding a sentence for a few days. The scale is different. The tool is not. I looked through the window. Leah sat on the porch step with the phone pressed to her ear. I couldn't hear what she said. Her free hand gripped the gauze over her palm. June touched the box containing the cardinal. Evelyn didn't ask you to absolve her, she said. She asked you to deliver something. I'm not ready. That's honest. You say that like Mom. She stole it from me. June left after Leah finished the call. I opened the July 16th letter at the kitchen table. Mom said Celia had visited and brought a casserole nobody could identify. She said Leah had been kind all week in a way that made her nervous. She asked whether I had received any of the photographs she'd put into her letters. There had been no photographs in the tin. I searched the envelopes. Nothing. Leah stood at the sink, washing the yellow mug. Where are the pictures? I asked. She went still. What pictures? Mom says she enclosed photographs. I didn't take them. Then where are they? I don't know. We searched beneath the tin's paper lining, Mom's desk, and the drawer where she kept stamps. Nothing. At last, Leah sat down. She may have forgotten to put them in. Maybe. You don't believe me. I don't know what to believe. Her face tightened, but she accepted it. The final unmailed letter was dated August 19th. Mom's writing covered only one page. She complained about the heat, said June was taking her to an appointment Friday, and told me she had begun keeping one truth from Leah. I don't like doing it, she wrote, but I need to know whether the road between us is broken or blocked. If my next letter reaches you, please answer through June. I folded the page. Leah watched me. That was the one she sent. No, the one she sent was dated August 22nd. What did it say? I placed the August 19th letter back in its envelope. She asked me to call. I know you called. What else? I closed the tin. Mara. Not tonight. Her eyes dropped to the lid. You're keeping it from me. Yes. The word sounded different when it came from my mouth. Leah nodded once. For the first time, she did not argue that I had the right. We packed around the silence. Leah labeled boxes. I loaded them. She called Celia from the porch, Denise from the bedroom, and 2 women from Mom's church while sitting on the bare living room floor. She used almost the same words each time. I gave you the wrong impression about Mara. Then she made herself say how. She did not say she'd been overwhelmed until after she said she'd lied. She did not mention oxygen alarms before admitting she intercepted calls. When Celia's voice rose loudly enough to reach the kitchen, Leah listened without defending herself. No, she said. Mara didn't ask me to tell you. A pause. No, she didn't know. Another pause. I don't know if she forgives me. That isn't why I'm calling. Afterward, Leah remained on the porch with the silent phone against her ear. I didn't go to her. That was becoming the hardest distinction in the house, refusing to rescue her without using her discomfort as entertainment. The missing photographs turned up inside a blue box beneath 3 of Mom's purses. They were ordinary prints from the pharmacy, Mom and Dad at a picnic, Leah holding the salon apron, me asleep at their dining room table during leave. Leah had put them there months earlier while clearing Mom's desk. I forgot, she said. I believed her. Believing did not feel like trust. It felt like the first board laid across a gap neither of us was ready to cross. By the final evening, the house echoed. The yellow mug was wrapped. The ceramic cardinal waited in a box marked fragile. Mom's dresses had gone to the donation center except for one flowered robe Leah kept and the navy dress I took back out of the box at the last minute. I didn't want it. I also wasn't ready for a stranger to wear it. Leah didn't comment. Our beds had been dismantled and leaned against the bedroom wall. Owen was coming in the morning with his truck. The landlord would meet us at noon for the keys. We ate the last of his tuna casserole on the kitchen floor with plastic forks. The refrigerator rattled in the empty room, louder now that nothing softened the sound. Leah pushed noodles around her paper plate. "Did you ever eat Mom's peach cobbler?" she asked. "What?" "The picture I sent. Did you think she ate it?" "I thought she ate some." "She couldn't swallow the crust." "I know that now. I shouldn't have sent the picture. I was glad to see her." "She put lipstick on because you'd notice she looked sick." "She looked sick. You said she looked good." What was I supposed to say? The truth. I glanced at her. Leah gave a tired smile. I heard it. I set down my plate. The direct letter is in my notebook. Her smile disappeared. I didn't ask. "You were going to." "No. You've asked every day without saying it." "That's rich." "It is." I went upstairs. My duffel sat in the empty bedroom. The green notebook was in the outside pocket, its cover bent from travel. I used it for things that did not belong in official records. Grocery lists, names of books, bad jokes people made during briefings, reminders to call home. Mom's envelope lay between pages dated August 21st and August 28th. Unlike the others, it had a stamp. The postal cancellation crossed the top corner, August 22nd, Kettering, Ohio. June had probably stood at the counter and watched the clerk mark it, unwilling to trust even the blue box outside. Mom's handwriting on the front was weaker than it had been in December. She had underlined my unit number twice. I carried it downstairs. Leah was standing by the sink, though there was nothing left to wash. I sat on the floor and opened the envelope. The paper still held a faint trace of Mom's hand lotion, or maybe I had trained myself to imagine it. "Dear Mara, June says she can get this to you. I feel silly arranging secret mail at my age. Your father would have enjoyed this much too much and bought me a trench coat." Leah made a sound that might have been a laugh. I continued silently. Mom said she didn't believe I had asked her not to write. She said the explanations about delayed mail and unstable schedules had begun contradicting one another. She did not call Leah a liar. She wrote, "I think messages are getting lost between my chair and your hands." Then she gave June's phone number and a time. "Sunday, 2 o'clock here. If you can call, please do. If you cannot, ask someone to tell June. I need one answer that does not pass through your sister." At the bottom, she had written the line I remembered best. "I can forgive distance. I cannot forgive being made to doubt whether the distance is real." Leah slid down the cabinet until she sat across from me. "Can I see it?" I handed her the page. She read slowly. "She knew," Leah said. "Yes. But she didn't say it. She didn't have to. She was still protecting me. She was protecting the call." Leah touched the underlined unit number. "Did she tell you to come home?" "No." "Did she tell you how sick she was?" "Some of it." "What did you say?" I took back the letter and folded it. I called from behind the maintenance building because it was the only place I could get privacy. You told me that. I told you I called. I didn't tell you where. After June came, you said, "I know what I said." The sharpness stopped her. I placed the letter on the floor. "It was hot enough that the wall burned through my shirt," I said. A generator kept starting every 6 minutes. I almost missed the call because June's phone blocked overseas numbers. Leah listened without moving. June answered on the 3rd try. She put Mom on, then went outside. What did Mom sound like? Like Mom. The answer hurt both of us. She had to rest between sentences, I said. She made me wait through the breathing instead of pretending the line had dropped. Leah looked down. "We talked about the letters first. She asked whether I'd told you I didn't want them. I said no. She asked whether I'd received any. I said no. Did she ask why? She already knew why. What did she say about me? Not yet. Mara, I need to tell this in order. Her mouth closed. I told her how Mom apologized for mocking me when I enlisted, then turning my service into something she displayed once other people approved. I told her I apologized for using work as a place where every problem had a procedure, and nobody expected me to guess what silence meant. I told her I should have called June sooner, I said. Or Owen. Or you, and kept pressing until I got answers. You did call me. I accepted answers that let me return to work. You trusted me. Sometimes. Sometimes I was relieved to have a reason not to push. Leah picked at the edge of her paper plate. Did she forgive you? She said forgiveness wasn't a discharge paper and I needed to stop asking for it like one. Leah laughed through her nose. That's her. Yes. What else? I looked at the empty doorway to the living room. She said she made us compete. Leah's hand stopped. She said praising me was easy because my accomplishments came with names, promotions, schools, assignments. She could tell people what I'd done in one sentence. And me? She said she treated what you did as the floor, the expected thing. Every time you gave more, she moved the floor down. Leah pressed her lips together. She said that? Almost exactly. What exactly? I knew the words. I had carried them through Mom's death, the funeral, 7 weeks of deployment, 2 flights home, and every room of this house. I could have spoken them the first night. Instead, I had watched Leah wait. Part of me had wanted the waiting to leave a mark. Not 10 months. Just enough that she would understand I controlled the road now. June was right. The scale was different. The tool was not. I need to tell you something first, I said. Leah's face tightened. I kept this from you because I was angry, not because I needed time to understand it, not after the first day. You don't owe me. Don't make it easier. She nodded. I wanted there to be one thing from Mom you couldn't reach, I said. I wanted you to know it existed and not know what it was. That's fair. No. Mara, after what I know. It may be understandable. It isn't fair. Those aren't the same. She looked at the direct letter between us. Did you enjoy it? She asked. Sometimes. The truth shamed me more once spoken. Leah absorbed it. Thank you for saying that, she whispered. I almost told her not to thank me. Then I understood she wasn't thanking me for hurting her. She was thanking me for not editing myself into the better sister. I picked up Mom's letter. She asked me to tell you that she knew how much you surrendered, I said. Her word was surrendered. Leah covered her mouth. She said she was grateful. She said she should have told you every day not to make you stay, but because you had stayed. Tears slipped between Leah's fingers. She said she was sorry she made leaving look brave and staying look like what you were supposed to do. Leah bent forward until her forehead touched her knees. I kept going because stopping would turn the message into something she had to beg for. She said she loved you. She said being frightened made her call for me because I wasn't there to see how frightened she was. She could still pretend to be strong with me. Leah's shoulders shook. With you, I said, she didn't have to pretend. For several seconds, the refrigerator was the only thing in the house with a voice. Then Leah looked up. Did she know I heard her calling for you? Yes. What did she say? That she was sorry? The word broke something open. Leah cried with both hands over her face, no effort to stay quiet now. I moved across the floor and sat beside her. I did not tell her it was okay. It wasn't. I put my shoulder against hers. After a while, she leaned back. Why did she tell you to tell me, she asked. Because she was afraid she'd say it badly in person. She did say things badly. So do we. Leah wiped her face on the hem of Mom's sweatshirt. She had worn it through most of the packing. The red O was cracked from years of washing. What happens now? She asked. Tomorrow we give back the keys. I mean after. I know. I looked around the empty kitchen, at the ghost marks where chairs had stood and the clean square beneath the cookie tin. I don't know, I said. This time, neither of us tried to make uncertainty mean abandonment. We slept in different rooms without beds. I used my field jacket as a pillow and woke with the zipper pressed into my cheek. Downstairs, Leah was already making coffee in a kitchen that contained one saucepan, 2 paper cups, and nothing else. Mom's direct letter lay on the counter beside the blue tin. Leah had not touched either one. "I need you to say it again," she said. I knew what she meant. Which part? All of it. So I repeated Mom's message while Leah poured coffee. I did not improve the wording. I did not add that Mom had sounded sincere or explain what she might have intended. I gave Leah the exact sentences as closely as I remembered them. Grateful. Surrendered. Sorry. Leaving looked brave. Staying looked expected. Leah listened with both hands around her paper cup. When I finished, she said, "Thank you. You don't have to thank me every time. I'm not thanking you every time. I'm thanking you for this time." That was fair. I returned the direct letter to my notebook. The 23 unmailed ones went into the tin. "Why not put that one with them?" Leah asked. "Because it wasn't one of the ones you kept." She nodded. At 8, Owen backed his truck into the driveway. He brought coffee, packing blankets, and a level he never used. June arrived 10 minutes later with cleaning supplies and announced that nobody left a rental house dirty enough for the landlord to smell the bereavement. Leah met them in the empty living room. Before Owen could make a joke, she said, "I need to tell you something." He looked at me. "Look at her," I said. Leah told him about the March call. She did not say she answered by accident and stopped there. She said she let me believe she was Mom. She told him she allowed Mom to doubt what she had heard. She explained the letters, the canceled calls, and the things she had told Celia. Owen listened with one hand on the dolly. "I know some of that," he said when she finished. "Mara told you?" "Yes." Leah looked at me. "You don't get to be angry about that," I said. "I'm not." She turned back to Owen. "I should have told you myself." "Yeah. I'm sorry I used you to spread it." "Yeah." She waited for more. Owen pulled the dolly upright. "I'm not going to tell you it's okay. I didn't ask." "Good." He wheeled the first stack of boxes to the truck. June gave Leah a roll of paper towels. "Bathroom mirrors," she said. Leah blinked. "That's it? What were you expecting?" "I don't know. Forgiveness is above my old pay grade. Mirrors are not." For the next 3 hours, we worked. Owen took Mom's bed frame and the remaining furniture. June cleaned the refrigerator shelves while insulting every condiment date she found. Leah carried the blue boxes herself. I loaded my duffel, the navy dress, and the cookie tin into the back of Owen's truck with my few other things. The yellow mug went into Leah's car. She saw me notice. "You took the dress," she said. "I did." Neither of us asked the other to justify it. The landlord arrived at 11:53. He was a thin man named Mr. Peters, who had rented the house to Mom and Dad for 26 years and still referred to the hallway as the new addition. He opened cabinets, tested faucets, and wrote something on a clipboard. The refrigerator began rattling. Leah slapped its side. It stopped. Mr. Peters looked up from his checklist. "Evelyn used to do that." "We know," Leah and I said together. He smiled. "I'll miss her," he said. The simple sentence nearly undid me. Not the funeral speeches or Mom's careful letters. A man with a clipboard saying he would miss the woman who hid his refrigerator. Mr. Peters accepted the keys from Leah. She kept her hand closed around them for a second too long. "They're yours," she said, then released them. We stood on the front walk while he locked the door. The ceramic cardinal was packed in Leah's car, but I still glanced toward the kitchen window. The sill was empty. Owen drove my boxes to Dayton. June went home after making us promise to wash our hands before eating, as if grief were contagious and soap might help. Leah remained beside her Buick. "Can I see your apartment?" she asked. "Not today." "Okay, you can call me." She looked surprised. "I may not answer," I added. "Okay. And if you want to know something about me, ask me. Don't ask Owen. Don't ask June." "Same for you?" "Yes." "Don't ask June how I'm doing." "I won't. She'll tell you anyway. I can't control June." Nobody can. We stood an arm's length apart. Leah raised her hands slightly, as if considering a hug, then let them fall. I wasn't ready. She did not punish me for it. I got into Owen's truck. My apartment had beige walls, new carpet, and the abandoned smell of a place nobody had disappointed anyone in yet. Owen assembled my bed while I unpacked the kitchen. He installed one support rail backward, refused to admit it, and took the instructions home for independent review. I put the cookie tin on the highest shelf of the bedroom closet. Then I took it down. High shelves were another kind of hiding. I placed it in the bottom drawer of my dresser, beneath nothing. The navy dress hung alone in the closet. For the first week, relatives called. Celia left a message saying Leah had confessed to some confusion and asking me not to let grief destroy the only family I had left. I called her back. There was no confusion, I said. Leah made choices. She's correcting what she told you. She was under terrible pressure. Yes, you weren't here to see what it did to her. No, she needs compassion. So do I. Celia sighed as if compassion were a casserole with only one serving. I'm not asking you to choose between us, I said. I'm asking you not to turn her suffering into permission. I never said that. You called me to say it without saying it. She went quiet. Mom would have enjoyed that sentence. Denise called next. She did not ask for details. She told me Leah had contacted her and apologized for claiming I never checked on Mom. Then she said Leah had started coming to the salon 2 afternoons a week, mostly to answer phones and complain about how Denise stored towels. She's not ready to take clients, Denise said. That's between you and Leah. You sound like her. I'm sorry. Denise laughed. That was not an insult. I returned to the unit. Nobody saluted. Nobody gathered to recognize what I'd survived in Mom's kitchen. My desk contained 6 weeks of maintenance reports, a broken stapler, and a sticky note from Sergeant Morales that said, "The bird lived." Morales had brought me gas station coffee. How was home? She asked. My sister hid 23 letters my mother wrote me. Morales lowered her cup. That's messed up. Yes. You want to talk about it? No. Good. I'm terrible at that. She opened a folder and showed me 3 pages of inventory discrepancies. Work did not rescue me. It gave my hands somewhere to go while the rest of me caught up. I found myself asking different questions. When Morales said a vehicle was operational, I asked whether the person repairing it had slept. When a soldier called home and returned angry, I did not ask for details, but I stopped treating silence as proof there were none. I still liked numbers. I still believed most problems improved when somebody wrote down what had actually happened. But I began noticing how often I requested facts from people, because facts required nothing emotional in return. Leah called 4 times that month. The first time, she said Celia had forgiven her before Leah finished apologizing. It made me furious, she said. Why? Because she used forgiveness to stop the conversation. That sounds familiar. I know. She caught herself. I understand why you'd say that, she corrected. The second call lasted 3 minutes. Leah asked whether my shoulder still hurt. I told her yes. She asked whether I'd seen anyone about it. I said I had an appointment. She did not tell me what to do. The third time, she called from the parking lot outside a counselor's office. I'm not telling you so you'll be proud of me, she said. Good. I'm telling you because you said to ask me directly, and I want you to ask me directly later whether I kept going. That sounds like asking me to manage it. There was a pause. You're right, she said. Forget that part. I can ask how it's going without being responsible for whether you go. Can both be true? I'm trying it. The fourth call went badly. She said Mom's last weeks would have been easier if I had come home sooner. I told her my emergency travel began the day Mom died and that I had reached Ohio as fast as I could. Leah said I had gone back to the deployment after the funeral. I ended the call. She left 2 messages. The first defended what she'd said. The second apologized without mentioning the first. I did not call back for 9 days. Space felt different when I named it instead of making someone guess. It still hurt. It just didn't lie. I read all 24 letters again in December. This time, I did not search each sentence for proof against Leah. I read Mom as a woman who loved us, failed us, understood herself in flashes, and sometimes used insight to avoid changing. I read Leah in the margins even when Mom did not name her. The meals, the appointments, the clean sheets, the anger close enough to touch. I read myself in every unanswered question. One true thing. I had not abandoned Mom. Another true thing. Sometimes I had been relieved to be far away. Both remained true after I closed the tin. In January, Leah knocked on my apartment door carrying the yellow mug and a wooden recipe box. Her hair was shorter, not dramatically, just enough to show she had let someone else cut it. "I found these in a blue box," she said. "I thought you already looked through those." I was wrong. That must have been difficult. I had to sit down. I let her stand in the hall for another second. Then I moved aside. She entered carefully, not looking into rooms she hadn't been invited to inspect. The mug had a new crack near the handle. "What happened?" I asked. I dropped it. Mom kept it intact for 12 years. I had it 6 weeks. That's impressive. I glued it. "You glued a mug we're supposed to drink from?" "I brought it for decoration. That wasn't on the label." She smiled. The recipe box contained cards in Mom's handwriting, magazine clippings, and instructions cut from food packages. Leah put it on the kitchen table. "I thought you might want copies," she said. "Of which ones?" "You choose." "Don't you want them?" "Yes." "You can keep the box. I don't want to keep something and decide later that you abandoned it." The sentence held no accusation. That mattered. I made coffee. Leah used an ordinary mug. The cracked yellow one sat between us. We sorted recipes. Mom had written, "Won't make again" on a meatloaf card, then added 3 later notes changing the seasoning. Her peach cobbler recipe listed canned peaches, though she'd spent years claiming they had to be fresh. She lied about fruit, too, Leah said. She contained multitudes. We found a card for Dad's chili with the word beans underlined twice. Owen believed beans were a moral failure. "We should send him a picture," Leah said. "You send it." She took out her phone, then stopped. "Do you want your name in the message?" "No." She nodded and sent it from herself. Small things were where trust had been damaged. Small things were where it would have to return. After an hour, Leah closed the recipe box. "I should go." "You don't have to." She looked at me. "1 more hour," I said. "Then I'm done for today." "Okay, and we divide the cards here. No taking the box and deciding for both of us." "Okay. No speaking for Mom." "Okay. No speaking for me." Leah placed both hands flat on the table. "Same rule for you," she said. "Yes." Outside, sleet tapped the window. Inside, the apartment smelled like coffee and the cinnamon raisin toast Leah had brought without asking whether I wanted it. I did want it. I handed her half. Then we opened the recipe box again.